Right, so do you think maybe we should start the show as it's just the two
Absolutely.
of us?
Yeah.
So should I roll the titles?
You roll the title.
I'll roll the titles.
Title has been rolled.
Is it? Or should I do it
I
now?
don't know.
I don't know. Should I do it now?
Yeah, you should now, like right
Yeah,
now.
I've done it now. That's it.
Are you sure you've done it now?
No,
I didn't hear a thing done.
it's done.
Are you sure?
No.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think you're lying to me right now?
Biscuit.
Okay. I'm sure there's a way I can turn that into a number, but I'm a little too tired to figure that out right now. We count in biscuits now, and our currency is in centimeters.
No, it's in chalk. Obviously.
Currency is actually, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast. Dedicated in bringing you all the latest information, news, and opinions. This is the best show for new and veteran Guardians alike, where we share tips, tricks, and tools to help you succeed and enjoy playing even more. So with all that said, let me hand you over to your hosts, the Triumph Hunting Titan Nitedemon, the pink-panted pansy Peroty, and your Hunter Master Ranger, Mr. No One Respawns in Real Life!
I am Nitedemon.
Hi, Demon.
British host. And over there, way over there, where are you today? You are in...
I'm home today. I came in last night.
He's in Florida.
Yep.
It's No One Respawns in Real Life.
Hi, guys. Hi, Respawn.
You don't have to say hi, Respawn, to yourself.
Oh, okay.
You understand that... Never mind. And
What?
unfortunately, our third, our Titan in pink, cannot be with us today, Mr. Peroty. So he's left us to do all the talking and all the explaining for all the amount of things that are coming up. So we're just going to throw information at you, opinions at you, and yeah, just go for it, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, after he heard the Warlocks won, he uninstalled Destiny and couldn't do the show this week out of pure depression.
I don't think it was that.
I'm fairly certain it was that. Yes, I prove. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I mean that pop-up was a little bit sus, seeing as it said 2023 on it and not 2022, which was last year's one. So yeah, somebody's playing around there, aren't they?
Playing around's a strong word, but I mean it's either playing around or there's a conspiracy afoot. Ha 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 ha. No, but seriously, guys, it is weird. And I, after all the things I've been reading on Twitter and Reddit about what will happen if the Warlocks actually win, after seeing that, I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Nobody's going to do anything. Nobody's going to do a thing. The Warlocks, if the Warlocks win, the Warlocks win. There's not going to be a mass exodus of Destiny. That's it. It's just going to be they win. They'd accidentally put up a banner. It'd be the same if they put up the banner for the Hunters or the Titans. Maybe that's what they'll do next week. Maybe they'll put the Hunter one up next week and then the Titan the week after and then go, oh, oopsie, we did it for all three.
Oh, yeah. Oops. Yeah. If they did it all 3 times, then it would have scrolled past our screen 3 times. But you know what? It doesn't matter. People make mistakes. Again, try to give them the benefit of a doubt. Everybody has a bad day, or in Bungie's case, a bad 9 years, but we let it go.
Yeah. So, Guardian games, eh?
I don't know anything about it. I just got on a few minutes ago and people were telling me how to get medals. And I was thoroughly confused about why I didn't have a metal box already. Or a metal
cabinet.
Container? Metal, whatever. What all the medals?
It goes in your quest log. I was kind of confused to start off with. I knew it went somewhere and I was looking everywhere. And even though I played the previous couple of years and I knew it went in the quest tab, I was like, where's it gone?
No, I think the first year they started with the container, I thought they put it in your key items inventory.
I thought it did, yeah. But like last year they had put it in the quest tab because they'd gone to this kind of model of putting stuff in quest tabs and...
Because it's intelligent? They got one! Yay! So
you've only just started playing Guardian games, have you?
Just now, yep. Yep, I didn't even know how to dunk the medals until I realized I got to go all the way to our side to dunk a medal. I thought I'd just stand there in the middle, dunk medals or whatever. I don't know why I
See,
just
you
switched that
stand in
way.
the middle, and I stand in the middle, and I get to dunk the medals. I really confused myself the other day, and it didn't work. I had to kind of shuffle over towards your side a little bit for it to kind of work.
Were you dunking hunter medals?
I,
That
I
seems
was.
odd.
No, but
Why?
well, my initial reasoning behind this was I'd logged on with my hunter because I still want to get all the strand fish bucks to
Okay.
build up my hunter for all of his aspects and fragments.
Mm-hmm.
So to do that, you have to play on strand. And Blue said to me, he said, "We're going to go to Neomuna. We're going to go and do Neomuna stuff." So I thought, oh, if I put on my strand subclass, we go to Neomuna, we go do Neomuna stuff, and I'll generate fish bucks. It went slow as anything, and I kind of gave up after a while. But I mean,
Yeah,
I
you
did.
only get the one. You got to do his missions that give you anywhere between 25 and 100 at once, you know? And then every time you open whenever you run an activity, that one activity that's got like the 3 levels or whatever, every time you complete that, you get 100.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
one
like
of,
when you get kills and things, you generate fish bucks as well.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
was trying to do that, being proactive as doing like the Guardian game stuff and generate fish bucks, and I kind of gave up in the end. I was like, there's no point because I'm getting one literally every 50 or
Mm-hmm.
so kills, and I was like, this is demoralizing. I've already done it all on my Titan. Why am I now having to redo everything on the Hunter? It should just be I pay X amount, like 1,000, and I've got them all unlocked again. Just
Yeah.
oh
And they also should have done it such that like if you've completed strand on that one character, now for some reason the strand doesn't drop for that character anymore, you know? Because I'd love to be playing my hunter and this whole time just be stockpiling the strand for,
exactly.
my warlock. You know what I mean?
That's my problem. Is that if I'm playing on my Titan, I'm not generating anything, so I have to play on the other two to start generating things because I didn't do that thing of just leaving one of the aspects unlocked. Because if I'd have done that, I'd have kept generating the fish bucks until I kind of paid it off. I made that
I'm not
mistake.
sure what you're talking about. That sounds like a cheat. Sounds
Well,
like a cheese further video.
well, the thing is, I mean, once you've unlocked them, that's when you stop generating the fish bucks. So
Mm,
if I left one of them on my Titan, the one that I probably just didn't want at the time, I could have
right.
just carried on generating the fish bucks to then just pile into the other two classes.
Mm.
It's a lesson hard learned.
Yeah, and that's not a problem we forgot come next season. Unless we're talking about you. No, wait, hold on. I remember writing something about this last year. Let me look at my notes. You're psychotically efficient, and I'm glad that it works for the show. But at the same time, as a human being, I'm concerned for your well-being.
Well, I'm glad you actually brought that up because I felt really bad after we'd finished doing the show last week and
Hmm,
I'd edited it and put it out. I realised that we hadn't actually gone through any of the Guardian game stuff that I normally go through. I know. Normally, I go through like what the challenges could be and what they've previously been and what some of the rewards were and how much they are at Eververse, and how the activity works and what's probably the best way to kind of do the activities. And I
right.
completely forgot about it. And in me completely forgetting to go back over my notes from last year, I completely forgot the way that you have to generate your scores in the Nightfalls and the Strikes scoring for this year. And
Killing ads. Yeah.
yes, but you remember there were certain ways if you did an emote before killing a yellow bar and then you did a finish on them, you generated more points. I completely forgot about that until Noble jumped into the
I
game
didn't
and
even know that,
and
dude. What?
reminded me. Yeah, it's in the challenges and the triumphs for the
You're
Guardian
such a
game.
psycho.
Exactly, but the thing is, you have to weaken them enough. These yellow bars all throughout the Nightfall strike.
Yeah,
Weaken them, do an emote in front of them, and then finish them, and you get like 20,000 more points than what you'd normally get. And then it's
that's
kind of just
ridiculous.
do, I mean, things like ability kills, like string up ability kills together, or primary
Yeah.
kills, energy kills, heavy kills together, and you get kind of all these medals pop up on your screen. Makes you feel really nice. But I forgot to go through all of that, and in me forgetting to go through all of that for the people to listen to, because I don't think anybody really put out a guide this year on how to actually do that until I think Ibontis. I've found one this week on literally. I think it was literally today or yesterday. Put out a guide on how to do the high scoring in the Nightfalls, and he went over how to do the champion killing and things like that. So there is a guide which I will put in the show notes if you are kind of wanted to have a look at how to generate the highest score. Because me being with Mr. Noble this week, he got me to the top 10% out of all of the Destiny players. And every time that I go to the
Why
tower,
though? You only needed 230,000.
I know, but every time that you go to the tower, and if you're the highest scorer in that tower, you glow. You know when you go over to the tree over to the left?
That's not a thing.
It is. You glow.
That's not a thing.
No, but you know when you went over to the tree, you had that yellow glow on the floor, and it kind of beams up. You get that if you're the highest scorer in the whole of the tower.
Nah,
Yeah,
bruh.
we did go over this last week with the notes that they actually provided.
Nah, bruh.
But Noble's reached the top 10%, so I'm now in the top 10% with him.
Well,
So
I can't.
when I go to the tower,
I trust Noble to begin with, right? For reasons we won't discuss on
no,
the
but
show.
it's quite cool because when I land in the tower, 9 times out of 10, I am the highest scorer for this week anyway for the Nightfalls. I think there's only been one time after I left Noble that I wasn't the high scorer. So I go to the tower and I glow. It's pretty cool. So after about an hour's worth of coaching from Blue Screen and Noble on how the event works again, I was like, oh yes, I remember all this. It's now come back into my frontal lobe. I remember what we need to do, and you can go off and do some things. And there were some guides. I think Bungie did put out a guide of how to do. Actually, a couple of people put out some guides of how to do the Neomuna bounty, which is the platinum bounty, where if you load up the breakneck mission on legendary difficulty, so you've had to have completed the campaign to start off with, load into that, and it's best to do it solo. Get through the initial opening area until you get to the point where you first have to initially plant a flag. Once you get to that room, defeat everything in that room and let the yellow bar wyvern kill you at the end. And then you're just going to keep doing that for, I think it's 2 or 3 times. And then that will give you a platinum medal. The only problem with these platinum medals is, yes, you can only hold like one at a time, but I don't think you can actually pick these up from the app. You have to actually, once you get the medal, you then have to fly back to the tower, pick up another one of these contender cards, and then go back and do a thing. So what I was finding is that when I was playing Supremacy, you can pick up the normal Crucible one, which gives you a gold medallion. But if you pick up the one that says Trials of Osiris on it, it also gives you points in doing Supremacy. So there's no point in picking up the gold one if you can pick up the one that says Trials, although it's Supremacy. After one game of that, I'd completed the card, and then I had to fly back to the tower. So that's my only gripe with this, is that I have to go back to the tower to pick up another contender card, because I can't pick it up from the app. I can pick up the bounties from the app, but I can't pick up the contender cards. So I complete a Supremacy match. I'm with a good group. I then have to fly back to the tower and then go back into like the matchmaking again. So yeah, that's my only gripe at the moment. And you haven't got any gripes because you haven't really played it.
Well, I'm already experiencing that with just the Shiro Chi thing. You know, you have to keep going back to the tower. You're just
cheesing one little bit. Just play the game.
That's all I need to.
Play Supremacy. You will love Supremacy. Supremacy is cool. It is amazing to be a full team of hunters, warlocks, or titans. Come on, how many titans can you take down? Come on,
all of you.
Exactly. Just
easily
get 6 of you with your stasis storms going. Just
is that what you're experiencing? A lot of stasis.
Actually, to be honest, out of the, I think I've probably played about 20 Supremacy games so far. Out of the 20, I think I've only lost twice to hunters, and that was by a very, very slim margin, I think. And yeah, most of the time we also, and most of the time it is just Titans versus Hunters. I think I've seen one Warlock group.
I told you
that Warlock group was literally decimated us. We were like, they were flying AC-31s or whatever you call them.
AC-130.
That's the ones, yeah. But then I did hear a really funny trick that they were doing on the DCP podcast. Is apparently that, I think it was Miss 5000 Watts or Mylan Games, apparently tethered themselves. They were like a Titan, and they tethered themselves to the Warlock. They and flew around as the Warlock was trying to fly around and hit them with their Dawnblade. They kept.
I saw that. Yeah. He's just attached to him.
Yeah, he's just attached to him. It's like she's attached to him, and they can't do anything. And they end up going after somebody else. But it's like I wish I could have done that. But then they did give me the idea, and I'm not sure if it's working well at the moment is that Jotun with the I can't remember the name of the boots now. You know the ones for the Titans.
Oh well, I know about their submachine gun pants, but not what you're talking about.
Oh, the Phoenix Cradle. So the Phoenix Cradles.
The hell is that?
Those are the ones that when you generate a sunspot, it lasts forever. And if you kill an enemy, it kind of just burns on the floor. And it's really good. I was thinking this is going to be really good in Supremacy because if I get a kill with a Jotun and then somebody goes to pick up their crest of their fallen ally, that's like if I've hit them miles away, they'll burn out as well. I'm still not 100% sure whether Jotun is actually working as generating sunspots anymore. I know it's doing some kind of explosion, and I think they did change it, and I can't remember if they did or if it's just me not, if it's just.
Are you
not
sure it's the boots doing the explosion? Because now Jotun has the Scorch modifier on it. So you're not just seeing the Scorch detonation?
Well, the boots give you Soul Invictus, which lasts twice as long, and allies that pass through your sunspots are granted Soul Invictus and Soul Restoration. And the Soul Invictus buff from sunspots lasts twice as long, so from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. But I don't see it generating any sunspots. And it used to. You used to be able to Jotun somebody, it generate a sunspot that other people would try and run past it or run through it, and they would die instantly. But now I think maybe where they've changed the Jotun, and I've completely forgot that they've changed the Jotun, that it doesn't do that anymore.
Huh. I have no idea.
There's me thinking that I'll be, top dog in Supremacy using sunspots all over the place. Turns out cheeky.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good thing too because the sunspots that you guys used to have, like back in the day when that first became a thing, where if I punch you, you drop a sunspot. Yep. Like as soon as that was a thing, I'm just like, this is the stupidest thing on earth because you drop a sunspot, which will kill you in like 1 or 2 ticks, and if you've already been in a melee battle, then it's just the 1 tick, right? Yeah. So just as soon as it drops, you're dead, and they've healed up just like that. And I always thought that was one of the dumbest things that Bungie ever thought of, And then they're like, oh, we've toned it down so that the fire doesn't burn you as much. So yeah, now it takes me 3 ticks to die instead of 1. That's awesome, Bungie.
Well, you're going to be upset because they're not toning it down anymore. They're pushing it back up.
I've heard. Yep. Yeah, everybody seems to be getting buffed, so yeah. And nerfed in some places, but mostly buffed.
But yeah, Guardian games, I'm finding it really enjoyable. I'm finding that Supremacy is a really good fun game mode. I love the strike scoring that's come back, and it just made me think that, like I think we were saying last week, Peroty and I, that we really want the Crimson Doubles to come back. Really do like when they have a limited time event, and I don't understand why they took it out of the game and just haven't put it back anywhere else. Even if they took out it as the Valentine's thing, they could have put it in as they could have put something else like a double game mode in Crucible for a limited couple of weeks, as part of an event. The Revelry, when we had that was like an amazing event. It was just like, I know it doesn't fit into their blocks of we're doing Solstice this month, and in 3 months' time we're going to be doing Festival of the Lost. In 3 months' time we're going to be doing the Guardian Games, and then 3 months' time we're going to be doing the is it Solstice? I've already said Solstice. You know what I mean?
Solstice is the summer. Yeah, that's probably going to be the first one to come up.
Yeah, it goes. Okay, so Dawning as well, Christmas.
Oh so yeah, true.
We have the 4. They've whittled it down to the 4, but I would have liked to have seen maybe even if you have those 4, but people were saying that people are really enjoying this Supremacy in Crucible, and it's revitalized a little bit more of Crucible. I know we're kind of still limited on maps.
Hold on. I was going to talk about the Valentine's Day thing, right?
Go on.
Last year, I said it while we were off air, but I think what they should do, right?
Yeah.
Is give like an item. Okay, so let's say you participated in the Guardian Games. You know how they give you like the one event that should take the entire time frame to complete, right? And give them one of those, like kill, I don't know, 200 people with with a solar bow, right? Kill 200 people with a solar bow in Crucible. That should take, a while, right? So for something like that, you have the prize be a sparrow, right? But you know how Always on Time is a unique sparrow in the game because it's glitched out for speed, right?
Yeah.
What if you had one for Crimson Doubles, right? But you could have 2 Guardians ride the same sparrow, right? So you could either A, have it like a tandem motorcycle where it's one behind the other, or B, have it, which is what I would choose. I would choose B, to have old World War I style bucket on the side of the sparrow with the Guardian in it. You know what I mean?
Indiana
But
Jones
something
style.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. If you gave away like an event item like that is related to the event you're playing, like Crimson Doubles, well, 2 people on a sparrow, right? Just a one-time item like that. You know how many more people that would come back to the game just for that one rinky-dink? Well, not rinky-dink, but I mean a very unique sparrow, but still just a sparrow nonetheless, right? That would bring back a ton of people if you just had unique prizes like that were themed to the event that you were doing, and not always necessarily a weapon. We got tons of weapons. It could be the sparrow, like what I was talking about. It could be a set of armor where one set of the armor is the left side of a picture, like a heart or a dragon for New Year's or whatever, right? And then the other set of armor for your buddy would be like the mirror image of your armor, right? So the 2 of you together would have that image, right? But just unique things like that, and just, yeah, everybody's fixated on weapons. What weapon do we get? What weapon do we get? What weapon do we get? But there are other cool things to put in. A tandem sparrow, matching armor sets, freaking, I don't know. I was trying to think of something you could do with maybe the ships, but I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. But whatever. Just have unique items like that whoever your buddy was with or whatever would get the A part and you would get the B part. Or you could choose whether you want to use the A or the
They
B
did
when
do
you
that for a
initiate it.
sparrow, didn't they? With I think that was again with Crimson Days, was there was half a sparrow that did one side, and then you could have the other sparrow which matched, and then if you, I mean, you couldn't lock them together, but you could drive next to each other, and I think it formed a kind of heart. That was quite.
I didn't
fun.
know that. Okay. Yeah. So they had been doing things like that, and I just didn't notice.
Well, they did that way back when. But what I'm saying is that I think that maybe they should have more events. And I'm feeling that like Guardian Games is slowly building up to, and I hope maybe for next year that we get Sparrow Racing League back, because that is perfect.
I would sacrifice almost anything to get rid of Guardian Games, dude. I would get rid of Guardian Games for Sparrow Racing. I would get rid of Guardian Games for your Valentine's Day thing, right? I would give up Guardian Games for pretty much anything else because any of those other modes are more fun, And me and the chat were talking earlier. There's no way to make Guardian Games fair. There's just no way to do it. You would have to limit all 3 teams to the exact same number of players, and you would have to make sure that no matter who jumps offline and who jumps back online, that they would be for Titan, Warlock, and Hunter, and whether or not that number would count towards the total, right?
Yeah.
So, things like that. Like, there's no way to make it fair. And even if you could somehow do it numerically, different classes are better at different things, right? Are Hunters really good at PvP? Yeah. But are Titans built specifically to ruin your fun in PvP? Also, yes, right? Yeah. So, but, where Hunters might fall short a little bit in PvP, we more than make up for in PvE. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and Warlocks are supposed to be somewhere in the middle, right? We'll get a PvP, but we're also going to PvE, but we kind of suck at both for various reasons, But, just like, we're all built to do different things. So supremacy to me is more of a Titan thing than anything else. Arc Titans just everywhere, either Arc Titans or some kind of bubble Titan to protect a capture point if there is one. No, there's no capture point. But yeah, just have Titans, just Arc Titans everywhere. Melee here, lunge there, freaking Sky Crash here, freaking whatever. Just Arc Titans just dominating this, And that to me doesn't sound like fun because Arc's already a broken class. It's double broken in PvP. That's actually silly because it's not broken in PvE, but it's still double broken in PvP anyway. I'll stick by what I said. And then, having 6 Titans running 6 arc abilities, it's going to be hard to beat no matter who you are. Like, even if you're Rift Warlocks with the little Rift buddies on top, odds are at least half of you are going to get killed by the time you kill, your first and second Titan charging in at you, right? So it's just PvP is built for Titans, and they shouldn't make it for for one class to have any kind of advantage like that, right? Like right now, we have the ability to do PvP and PvE, which is fine, but we have a lot of hunters that are better at PvE and are tapping their toes into PvP, whereas most Titans play PvP and not necessarily a lot of PvE.
I don't know where you're getting your stats for that, but go on.
Well, I mean, how many when you're looking for PvE players, are you looking for Titans? Not usually. You're looking for invis hunters for various points in various raids, or you're looking for a special kind of warlock, whether it be a solar warlock or a void warlock, right? Depending on what you're trying to do, right? You rarely ever see somebody say, "Oh, I'm looking specifically for a solar Titan," unless they're doing the solar Titan. Not event. What's it called? You got event stuck in my brain. Completion challenge, right? Unless it's the All Titans challenge or whatever, and you're doing the All Solar challenge at the same time, right? Yeah. But other than that, you don't hear people looking specifically for Titans because in PvE, currently, some of these changes are going to change that, but Titans currently aren't really used for PvP unless we need a bubble, right? So, yeah, that's why I say most Titans stick to PvP and then perhaps swap to one of the other characters to do PvE, something that more people are looking for, right? I mean, but no matter how you look at it, currently right now, Hunters got more numbers and Hunters are playing PvE and PvE, which should be bringing the numbers up, but it's not because there's probably not a lot of us playing right now. Anyway, the point is there's no way to make it fair. It's impossible.
I think we've debated this, and other podcasts and other YouTubers and other content creators have all kind of debated what's the best course, and Bungie themselves
just not have it.
No, there is no way to do it, and Bungie each year fiddle with the matchmaking or fiddle with the way that the medals are worked out, with different weightings because there's so many of these, so many of them. And this year, I think they just gave up. They just didn't even tell us. They were like, just there's Guardian Games. That's it. It's probably the same weighting as it was last year. But then last year, it was like everybody piled onto the Warlocks because the Warlocks hadn't won. So even I was playing as a Warlock just for fun. And yeah, there's never going to be one overall winner that is going to be fair, to be honest. So
that's why I don't think it's a good game mode. Even if it's not rigged, like some people are claiming it is, it's just not. It's not a good game mode. It's not a good.
No, it's not a good event, is what you're saying.
Thank you. Yes,
the game modes are fun. The Nightfall scoring is fun. It's really good. It gets the community engaged. Supremacy has really got the PvP community engaged. There's good loot in there. There's some really good rolls on the scout rifle that everybody was like, is this going to be good? And the title, the SMG from last year, has come back with a few more good rolls. So there are reasons to go in there and play if you're not kind of just finishing off the rest of the season. I think the best thing is just go in there, get what you want from the event, have fun. Don't worry about the overall kind of winner of it because I don't think
they're trying to stress you about it though.
No, but
even announcing every day who won, it's like I don't care. Stop telling me.
Yeah, just ignore it then.
Yeah,
you just ignore.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misread what he said. He said the best thing to come out of this event is the chair finisher. Oh, the emote. I see. Hey, I didn't read the whole thing. My bad. It helps.
No.
Reading is power, kids.
It is. And I was going to say Peroty and I, and Respawn and I are going to do some reading for you now with the Season 21 ability tuning preview.
Yes.
So this is the, I don't know what we call it, the info drop that we get on a Wednesday now. So most Wednesdays for at least the last 3 months, we've had a big info drop on the Wednesday before the 12. And normally that means that they've put all the information into this, and then they go, here's a little bit of information in the TWAB. Not this week. This week they've decided to go info drop here, info drop there. And it's probably going to be the same for the next couple of weeks because we are only 3 weeks away from a new season. So let's get into it. And we're going to start with ability tuning pass. So these are our high level goals, apparently. So they want to increase the viability of roaming supers in high difficulty PvE content, incorporate subclass keywords into a selection of light subclass supers, reduce the amount of unlimited uptime mobility available in the Crucible, increase the build crafting capabilities of a selection of stasis and light subclass aspects. So, with that, we're going to get a fragment update. So these are fragments are the main things that you get for your class, and depending on how many slots you have in your fragment is how many aspects you can put on, which are the things that are universal. So normally, if you unlock an aspect, they are just for your class. Fragments are the things that are universal for all 3 classes. So your aspects that are going to be increasing from 1 to 2 for your hunters, the trapper's ambush, the shatter dive, and the gunpowder gamble. For your titans, it's the bastion, juggernaut, and for your warlocks, chaos accelerant. So I know this doesn't really mean too much to some people, but it means that you'll be able to slot 1 extra fragment into those slots to do more stuff, I guess.
Yeah. And if you see, like, the hunters, at least, I'm not too sure about the other 2 classes, so I'll keep my mouth shut. But what I do know is, if you've noticed, we had 3 aspects that only gave us 1 slot. Titans only had 2, and Warlocks only had 1. So, hunters, I'm glad they're stepping it up. But, moving past that, the Shatter Dive and the Gunpowder Gamble. So, the Gunpowder Gamble is important because that is getting a buff this season as well. The Gunpowder Gamble itself is going to get a buff. So that's important that's going to have 2 slots instead of 1. And the Shatter Dive, even though it's not as oppressive as it was in PvP as it used to be, Shatter Dive getting extra slot is going to make a lot more not frozen. What's the stasis called? Stasis. Stasis build's more viable because you can do the Shatter Dive and AoE freeze people, especially with that new bow that we have. This is going to tie super well into the stasis bow exotic build that we have for this season, right? And then Gunpowder Gamble, like I said itself, is getting a buff, so it getting a 2nd slot right before it gets a ability buff. It's also going to be amazing for a lot of these hunter builds that, like, some people like me don't like. Me, I don't like using it. A, because the Gunpowder Gamble only has the 1 slot, and B, how often do I use my grenade, right? But a lot of these builds are coming out, and the Gunpowder Gamble is really important, and it being able to have that 2nd slot is going to make builds next season even more powerful. So, yeah. But the fact that we had 3 items that only have 1 slot, really?
Yeah,
favoritism much?
No, but this is across all of the subclasses, so it's only 1 on each. You know, same with the Titans.
Yeah. You say it's only 1 on each, but Trapper's Ambush, Shatter Dive, Gunpowder Gamble. That's 3 different subclasses. All of them only have 1
But correct me if I'm wrong. That I think on a couple of your subclasses, that a couple of the fragments, a couple of the aspects. Oh God. Couple of the aspects have like 3 slots for fragments, and then you have these ones that only have 1. So
that's not what we're talking about here.
No, but no, what I'm saying is that you now
you don't have to bring that up. All right, see, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the ones that only have 1 slot.
No, I know. Yes, but that's what I'm saying. if you pair the one that's only got 1 slot with the one that you like. Say that there's one that you like that is only got 2 slots. You're only limited by 3 fragments that you can then put in. So this does help if you want to have another fragment on there that then completes your build, which is really nice. But then there are some that do give you 3 fragments.
Well, not necessarily complete your build.
It's not just for hunters. I mean, I think warlocks and titans also have an aspect that gives them 3. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of goes with like new builds that people can put together.
Dude, there's already
give you that extra bit of
Dude, just for Shatter Dive by itself, not really Trapper's Ambush. I don't have a whole lot for Trapper's Ambush, but the Shatter Dive and the Gunpowder, there are so many builds that are going to be just so much better with that. We can already get damn near infinite grenade hunter builds. Now just imagine a freaking grenade and then a gunpowder gamble, and then a grenade and then a gunpowder gamble, and then a grenade and a gunpowder gamble. I want to see it act like the Warlocks, they can shoot 5 stud balls at once. I'd like to see if we could do something like that next season with the Gunpowder Gamble update. That'd be really cool.
So, continuing with the super tuning updates, with Lightfall's release came 2 new roaming supers, Silk Strike and a Blade Fury.
Nice.
Tuning on these supers was an experiment to determine where we felt roaming supers could live in a combat sandbox. And they're pretty happy with that. So, in Season 21, they're taking a pass at other roaming supers, as well as some underperforming burst supers, to increase their viability. What they're going to do is all supers, they're going to increase the PvE damage resistance by 20%, which is nice because I think sometimes you do pop your super in a moment of panic in PvE and the boss decides, no, that's it, you're going to be taken out very, very quickly.
Yeah, you absolutely have those moments, but I'm thinking more offensive, right? Because right now, the 2 strongest builds in the game as far as like just ability usage, right? Warlocks have people beat out with their grenades. I get that, right? But followed closely behind is the hunters with our silk strand, which does insane damage for a melee, right? And then the Titan, your Blade Fury, your Wolverine mode, right? Your crab mode, right? If you do it like the streamers are talking about, light, heavy, light, heavy, it does absolutely tremendous damage in the game, right? So,
you're talking PvE. I'm thinking like trying to
hit
3 or more kind of PvP opponents here.
No, unless I'm saying PvP, I mean PvE. Just future reference. Yeah. So having to be able to pop that Silk Strider and not get killed with the first shot of a boss stomp in a Grandmasters sounds incredibly nasty, right? So we can get that damage pumping out. And then literally the Titans, again, same thing. A lot more resistance for you guys. And then other classes like the Void Hunter Knife. God, I haven't played on that build so long. I can't remember the stupid subclass name. Spectral Blades. Thank you. The Spectral Blades.
Oh, Spectral Blades and Void.
The Void, right? Because that's going to get a buff where my heavy weakens. So being able to stay up on the boss for long periods of time while getting stomped is going to be great for that class. And of course, the Stripper Pole Dancer. 3 incredibly high damaging supers, but normally you can't finish out a boss phase, whether it be too long or you get killed by stomps to get your full damage out, right? So being able to survive long enough in a boss encounter to maybe get the full damage of your super is going to be a huge buff for hunters and Titans.
And you think about it, a lot of the Titan ones are kind of close-up melee. You're in there underneath the boss's feet sometimes, or underneath the enemy's feet, and you don't last 2 seconds if they do a stomp mechanic. It's like,
oh, absolutely,
they burn the floor. That's it. You kind of. So it's nice that we're kind of they've looked at this and gone, this is what this needs. And I think overall, yes, it does. We need to feel like we are super powerful when we pop that super, and we need a bit more resistance. But we'll see how this kind of goes. I mean, they go on to say that in their initial subclass 3.0 conversation, they opted not to include subclass key integration words like Jolt and Scorch into most of their supers. But now that the dust has settled, they are revisiting that idea. So with Season 21, they're taking a pass at the roster and adding intrinsic keywords where their inclusion makes sense. Unlike existing interactions such as Arc Staff and Lethal Current, or Sentinel Shield and Controlled Demolitionist, these will be baked into the super's base behaviour. So Hunters, overall they're happy with the Hunters, the way they sit in your PvE. You're happy with them, they're happy with them. However, there are still a few supers that are lagging behind the rest of the pack that they'd like to address. So Golden Gun and Arc Staff are slightly underperforming in their intended combat roles. So they're giving them a PvE damage bump that they think will make them more viable. So Golden Gun, both Marksman and Deadshot, they've increased the PvE damage by 20%. And your Arc Staff, 20% as well.
I wonder if that's when you put on the the Hawk helmet to get that one shot for the golden gun. I wonder, because it says marksman and deadshot, right? For deadshot, you get 3 shots, boom, 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 and each one of those shots would be the damage plus the 20%, right?
Yeah.
Well, whenever you put that helmet on, the damage output at that point in time is if you had the 6 headshots
Celestial Nighthawk,
as opposed to yes, right? So you literally double whatever you would have gotten before, right? So instead of having, like I said, the 3 shots that do 100,000 plus that 20% extra damage, you'd have the 1 shot that did 6,000 damage in one go, right? My question is, are they also going to stack that 20%? Like, are we going to get the 20-20-20, meaning 60% extra damage when you put on the Hawk Moon?
I don't.
Or is that just going to get the 20?
The Celestial Nighthawk. I mean, the community insight for it on Destiny Night Manager says that the modified golden gun deals 500% increased damage, but can only fire once per activation. 37% more damage compared to 3 precision hits with Marksman's golden gun. And scoring a golden gun kill refunds 33% of the super. Yeah, we know that bit. But maybe it does. Maybe it goes up to like 600% damage. I think there will be a scaler with that. I think if they've probably baked it into if you put the less Celestial Nighthawk.
I hope not. Oh, I hope not.
Don't you want it to work a bit better?
No, I want the 60% extra damage. You know what I'm saying?
No, but if you
want that high damage.
Yeah, but I mean, if the way they work it out, it'll probably be like 600% damage rather than an extra
560. You mean?
Yeah,
I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean that would depend, but I would still want like that 20% damage to also be baked in as though it was 60%. You know what I mean, right? So that also needs to be multiplied the way that the golden gun's damage is already multiplied with the 1 shot. That extra damage from 20%, I think, should go up to at least, at a minimum, 60%, right? When that golden gun hit hard, it's going to hit hard.
Somebody's going to do the testing to find out. And
sure,
I think Astrocross did actually put out a video this week covering what we're going over now and saying that basically what they're going to go away now is go and do the testing now on all of this stuff that Bungie have kind of let them know. And then they'll come back to it when it's kind of dropped in Season 21 and then do a comparison video so that you can see how much the damage is and they'll let people know. So watch out for that because I'll remind people once we kind of that comes back up. So if you are interested, it should be there from Astrocross.
Mm-hmm.
But saying that, Spectral Blades has historically been a significantly underperformer. How is that what your estimation is, Respawn?
In PvE, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Nobody takes in that over a tether unless there's something wrong with them.
Do you think they're going to take it in now because they're increasing the PvE damage by 35% and the heavy attack now weakens targets on hit? That
paired with the damage resistance, I would say yes. Because first of all, we have to determine how much more the damage buff is, right? Are we talking tether level damage? If so, then it has to last at least as long as a tether, right? If it doesn't last as long as a tether, then no, that's not going to be viable, right? So the only good thing about a tether is that damage debuff. If this damage debuff for the new Hunter Strider, while they're DPSing, right? So not only you get the same debuff as the tether is, you're still DPSing on top of that by hitting him where the tether doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you compound on top of that how long that is, right? Tether, let's say you have a 20-second tether, Arc Strider lasts 18 seconds. Absolutely. Arc Strider would be way better than tether in almost every instance at that point. You know what I mean?
Some supers they build to be...
Not Arc Strider, Spectral Blade.
Yeah.
Every time I said Arc Strider, I meant Spectral Blade. Sorry. Yeah.
The thing is, sometimes they build these supers to be those specific things, like the bubble is the bubble, the well is the well, the tether is the tether. So sometimes they don't want to make like Spectral Blade equal to the tether. They'll make it an option to do something else. And what I didn't
this isn't something else though. Think about it. This is a debuff with a DPS, right? Normally you can either debuff or you get the DPS. This is kind of a combination of the two, I think.
Yeah, with the weakening, yes. But what I didn't realise did you know this? Spectral Bladers are all left-handed because apparently they fixed an issue causing some right-handed Spectral Blade attacks to fail. So confirmed.
They don't.
Spectral Blades are left-handed. They can hit everything with their left hand. It's when it comes to their right hand, they can't hit anything.
It's not. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the timing between the frames and the actual hit detection.
No,
right?
they're left-handed.
They're not left-handed,
Spectral
but
Blade
just
is a
half
left-handed.
your hits miss.
No,
they're correct. Half of your hits miss.
Exactly. Yeah, Spectral Blade is a left-handed.
And so that's another thing. As long as they fix that, on top of the damage buff, on top of the resistance, on top of the enemy debuff, it's looking to be a real strong contender for Tether next season. Real strong, especially when you have Gwinston's vest on that increase the longevity of the Spectral Blades.
Cool. So apparently, the Gathering Storm for Arc 3.0, where they're saying they initially intended to be more significantly higher player precision in the way you throw it, like a dart on a dartboard. Sure. Whereas a Nova Bomb is just kind of you throw a big ball at somebody and it's going to hit somebody.
Yeah, eventually, maybe.
And in its current iteration, too frequently fails to record that precision increasable. So basically, yeah, you're trying to hit a needle in a haystack with one of those things sometimes. I mean, I've thrown it and it's kind of decided, no, I'm going to go and stick to the wall just above where you threw it, not actually auto aim.
I've never had problems with it doing that. Normally, if I miss, it's because I missed.
Yeah. I mean, a Titan playing as a hunter is going to have issues trying to kind of, especially if they think they're on tickle stick.
You can solve that You can solve that problem. Look, hear me out. No. Listen, you ready?
No.
It's easy. I'm telling you.
Go on.
Okay. All you got to do, stop playing as a Titan.
Exactly.
You won't have that problem no more.
Well, I will, because I won't be playing Destiny. So to address this, they're making the target adjustments to direct impact and delaying the lightning strike damage to increase the payoff for directly landing the staff or properly timing the lightning strike, and increasing the damage Gathering Storm does against stationary defensive supers. So that's going to be interesting.
Nice.
So the well, throwing that at a well is going to do some good damage. But then if you throw it at a Titan bubble, where does that go? I mean, Gathering Storm, it says directly.
You say that, yeah, because I've hit a Titan bubble with it, and the Titans are just laughing at me watching my firecracker spittle out. You know, yeah.
I mean, in theory, it can't burst through the bubble, but if it bursts, if you throw it and it attaches like a dart to the bubble, does it just kind of sit on the top of the bubble and then explode the bubble and then stay in midair? I think that's kind of what it does. It doesn't drop down to the floor and then do more damage. But yeah, I mean, they said Gathering Storm direct impact damage versus players is increased from 200 to 300. The delayed lightning strike damage versus players is increased from 3 to 500. Lingering lightning tick damage versus players is increased from 40 to 60, and now deals increased damage versus Well and Ward of Dawn.
Hold on. Okay, I will give you. I'm medicated, so I could be wrong about this, right? But I could have sworn there was something in here about not only all of these changes too, the lingering attacks cause jolt for targets now. So they get that debuff on top of them, and you get that damage increase on top of them, right? But I don't see that here.
Yeah, this is the lingering light tick damage versus players is increased from 40 to 60.
So they're trying to say that the jolt debuff is what's doing this extra damage?
No, they haven't actually said the jolt. They've said
that's what I'm talking about.
Tick damage.
I could have sworn there was something in here that says sustained damage.
Well, we'll have to come to that.
Sustained being the key word, causes jolt to targets.
Well, we'll probably come across that then.
But we're doing the change. Okay, you might be right.
If it's not there, I can't read it because it's not there.
Fine. I'm just wondering where I heard that from, or if I'm tripping.
You could
probably both.
Okay. So Titans. Again, on the whole, we believe Titan Supers are currently falling a bit short in high-level PvE content. Like Respawn was saying. You don't want to take a Titan.
Well, like Micah was saying. Micah was complaining about this.
To remedy this, they're increasing the PvE damage of several roaming supers across their Arc, Solar, and Stasis subclasses. While we increase the Fist of Havoc's PvE damage in Lightfall, its performance in high difficulty content hasn't noticeably improved. So we've more holistically reevaluated its attack, energy costs that are enabling its heavy attack to blind targets. That's cool. So the Fist of Havoc and lightning attack cost reduction from 8.5 to 6%. Heavy attack costs reduced from 18 to 12. Increase the heavy attack PvE damage by 33%. Heavy attacks now blind targets near the center of the slam area.
That
Again,
right there, nothing else in this screams is going to do more damage than your Superman slam, right? But what it does tell you is at the end, you blind things in the center of your attack.
yeah, but this is an ads clear thing again. Nobody's going to use Fist
No,
of
if you
Havoc.
can blind a boss, that's a big thing, dude.
You're telling me that I'm going to be able to blind Rolk, I'm going to be able to blind Nezarek?
I don't know who you can
I-
blind, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
big ticket bosses, or not even a boss, not even like a raid boss, just like you can't seem to get past the tormentors,
Okay.
because you're just starting out. That's right there.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
blind. What are they gonna do?
Can you debuff like the raid bosses or the dungeon bosses in a way, like can you blind them if you throw out a suppression or a concussion grenade? Does that have any effect on them? I don't think it does. I think the bigger the boss, this won't affect.
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
they've got those things built into them. These are for kind of little bosses. These are like for barrier champions or Lucent Hive. This is where this will work.
And you're
Again,
blowing a super to get this blind effect. So
Yeah. I could throw out a grenade to get a blind effect.
yeah. I thought it was going to be stronger than that. I mean, if the way you're talking about it, all these changes to Titan still make it less viable than your Superman slam.
Okay, so if I rocked up in a dungeon or a Nightfall or a raid with you with this new Fist of Havoc, would you accept it? Or would you say put something else?
I put you on ad clear.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
But you could probably clear more ads with your weapons these days with what you can kind of build into those.
Sure. But the raid, there's lots of encounters in the raid, especially on hard mode, where you got champions to deal with. If my Titan can run around the map, blinding all the champions around us, that's still a good thing.
No,
You know?
I suppose so, yeah.
And doing damage to them. Because, like a grenade, yeah, you can blind with a grenade, but this you're blinding and hopefully sticking foot up butt at this point, right? So you're not only blinding them, you're doing a big chunk of damage to help us deal with, champions or champion level enemies that just don't have the shield nonsense on them, right? The big yellow bars that are chunky like champions, right? So yeah, being able to blind them in a high level activity is still a good thing, right? Like, holy crap, we got, Legionnaires spawning, Titan, blind them all so we don't get murked in the first 5 seconds of the damage phase. You know what I mean?
The thing is, I think when I was doing the opening of the Root Nightmares raid, and I was running around with Insurmountable Skullfort, and I think I had the Ballistic Slam on there, and oh no, I didn't. Did I? Oh yes, I think I did, and I just had the shoulder charge, and I was shoulder charging all the little enemies. Again, I was kind of blinding them.
The Skullfort, yeah. So
yeah, but I was using that. I didn't need my Fist of Havoc to be changed. And then I was able to kind of, if I needed to, pop my super and do the Superman punch on a Tormentor or a champion. It was like, again, as a Titan, this doesn't.
Yeah, but that helmet, you wearing that helmet sacrifices your damage because, like, if you run Superman Slam in the raid, you're wearing your chest piece.
The thing is, me wearing that helmet gives me infinite amount of shoulder charges in PvE, and I can
ads that you can one shot. Yes.
Yeah, and I can go around and one shot quite a lot of ads.
Yeah, you haven't played Grandmasters a lot, have you?
No, but what I'm saying is just that bit of the raid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, even raid hard mode, some of the raid hard modes, these red bars have as much health as a normal yellow bar.
Yeah.
So they are bullet sponges, dude. And I'm not saying you can't. I don't know how strong a Titan is. You might be able to run shot the red bars, right?
Yeah.
But now you got to deal with the yellow bars, right? And in the raid, especially the new one, you have to kill the yellow bars first because they cause other things to happen. Like they cause my champion to spawn, so I can kill my champion, right? My champion doesn't spawn until he kills the yellow bar. You see how that works?
Yeah.
So the yellow bars are priority. Red bars come after. So as soon as you have to prioritize the yellow bar and you got nothing on but that helmet, you lose in your melee unless you shoot him enough and then melee him at the end,
Okay, fair enough. Glacial Quake, which is our Ice Slam, they're increasing the Shiver Strike thrust speed while in Super by 10%, and they're increasing the light attack damage by 20%. Because again, it's one of those.
It's still crap.
It's
still crap.
They say it's in a solid place with their strong damage output, but the light attack doesn't offer enough of a reward to feel worthwhile in its current state. Drunk Toddler is what Peroty would tell them. And for Sentinel Shield, Hammer of Soul, and Burning Maul, they're happy with the performance given their additional utility, but they feel some minor damage increase would significantly help their usability in situations where pure offensive is needed. For Burning Maul in particular, we're also making a small quality of life change in its interaction with Soul Invictus aspect, and allowing the heavy attack Cyclone to apply a small amount of Scorch. So the Sentinel Shield is increased PvE damage by 20%. Hammer of Soul, PvE damage by 10%. The Burning Maul increased the PvE damage by 10%. And they now create a Sunspot when casting a Soul Invictus is equipped, matching the behavior of Hammer of Soul. And the heavy attack Cyclone now applies Scorch over time.
So that paired with the new damage buff, right? Your new defense buff, I should say, right? That's going to make Burning Maul pretty good, because I don't know how much damage your Sunspot does, but does your Sunspot always heal you, or just when you wear a Lorelei?
No, it always heals you.
Okay, so you drop your super and a Sunspot on the boss while doing your little, Beyblade of Death, right? Now that it applies Scorch, and they're standing in the fire, and we're assuming you don't get knocked away, that looks like it can do some pretty serious damage. I don't know if, buffed Hunter super damage, but it's not bad, not bad.
I mean, we say it every time that there's nerfs, there's buffs, or there's changes to the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's this cycle, and I know other people have said this. It's a cycle of Destiny. It goes round and round in circles. It goes with like different metas for different guns and different things that they go. This needs to be brought up. This one needs to be brought down. This one needs to go up. It's kind of sit back, wait. I mean, they're giving us numbers here, and we're going, yeah, we can see on paper that looks good, but it may just work out bad, or on paper it looks bad, and it may work out amazing. So until we get it in our hands, you're not going to really 100% know, are you? To be honest,
right? I mean, on paper this all looks good. Well, not all looks good, but on paper that looks good. Burning Maul.
Yeah, and on paper, Warlocks generally have a strong neutral game, apparently. So they're doing well.
I agree. Very much.
So with Season 21, we're addressing some of these outliers on the low end and focusing primarily on Stormcaller and Voidwalker, with a few quality of life fixes sprinkled throughout. For Voidwalker, we're increasing the PV damage output of Nova Warp and both Nova Bomb variants, and allowing Nova Warp to make targets volatile. Nova Warp increased PV damage by 15%. A fully charged attack now makes enemies volatile on hit.
That's good. But 15% is nowhere near enough for it to be viable in PvE. They need... I'm being generous. I'm being really generous, but I think that should be 30. That should be a 30% damage increase in PvE.
Well, again, I mean, I think they probably say at the end, or they say at the beginning, that these are changes that they're making now. Some of them are going to be small increments, and they're going to go, well, we obviously... It's made it an improvement, and we want to see more of an improvement. So we're going to maybe
yeah, but if you're going to improve it, because right now they're not going to get any data, because people are still going to use Nova Bomb over Nova Warp.
They're getting data from lots of different things.
I'm saying you should still make it good enough so that people would use it over Nova Bomb. Then you'll get real numbers. Whatever. I'm saying these words.
Nova Bomb, they've increased the PvE damage by 20%. So again, that's a good thing. Nova Bomb by 20%.
Yeah, that's going to be strong too, but Nova Warp needs a bigger buff.
Nova Warp, you've got to get up close to somebody to use it, or closer than Nova.
Why it needs a bigger buff? Yeah, absolutely. You're getting boss stomped, which again we're getting a defense buff, so take that out, right?
Sort of, yeah.
And you're just and you have two different moves you have to do. You have to a charge up time too, right? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into Nova Warp, right? And for all these things to come together, I still don't think a 15% damage buff is going to be enough. And cool, you made enemies volatile. All that means is you don't do any extra damage to them. It's just that when they die, they blow up. Well, against a boss, that does you no good because he's never going to blow up, you know? So making a boss volatile means what, you know?
Again, this may be like the Titan one. It's mainly focused on clearing ads. Like you said, if you've got this on your team, you may go, you're dealing with the ads. You're going to go around and make everything volatile.
Yeah, but if we're going to pick a Warlock, honestly speaking, like this would not make it say, nah, dude, you got to play, you know.
No, I mean, you put this on,
healing Warlock, you know.
Brace submachine gun out, and that does void damage, and you just go to town on them. Just go full out.
Yeah, but it's not going to be more. What I'm saying is,
no, but they could have
what we're losing, aka Warlock, and gaining a DPS thing that anybody can do. We're going to need the Warlock, 100%.
What do you mean anyone could do? You mean the Titan over there that's just had that buff?
Yeah, Titan, anybody can do ad clear. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
So if you're gonna take away my Warlock, you gotta give me something better than this. This ain't it, Chief.
No.
You know.
So for the Arc Warlocks, for Stormcaller and Stormtrance and Chaos Reach, they don't believe that either of those are excelling in their intended roles.
Agreed.
So they're going to take a pass at their PvE damage as well. So the Stormtrance is increased in their PvE damage by 25%.
Beautiful.
Damage ramp up while attacking now occurs more quickly, over 3 seconds, down from 5.
Nice.
A landfall detonation, which is the one where if you're kind of in air or off the ground, it kind of does that lightning attack on the ground. And Seekers are now jolt targets.
That's a strong buff. That's strong.
Yeah, but jolt is getting a little bit of nerf.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the 25% damage increase.
Yeah.
And now the damage ramp up is 3 seconds instead of 5. That's strong. That's very strong.
They've increased the Chaos Reach PvE damage by 25%.
Beautiful.
Sustained damage on a single target now creates a jolting lightning strike at the top.
Oh, it was for the Chaos Reach. Oh. Okay.
They've increased the damage resistance versus player from 40% to 50%. Increased the maximum strafe speed from 3.5 milliseconds to 4.5 milliseconds. And adjusted the super camera to avoid players' bodies blocking view targets when strafing.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So no more blocking of bodies.
It happens like if you're in a cave or something, you're too close to the ceiling. Yeah, it does wonky things. But this with Geomags on, this could be a good contender for Geomags to come back in a big way.
Yeah, because Chaos Reach did get nerfed, didn't it? So it was.
Well, it wasn't Chaos Reach that got nerfed. It was the Geomags that got nerfed. You know,
I thought Chaos Reach got nerfed.
No, it's Geomags. It was
so many times. It's so many different things have been nerfed and buffed, and
yeah. I'll tell you in just a second what happened.
Okay.
So, what am I stable?
Well, while you're looking for that, I'm going to tell people that they're happy with Winter's Wrath excelling as a crowd control tool, and they're giving it a small damage boost in PvE to increase its usability in situations like boss damage phases. They're going to increase the PvE damage by 10% with Winter's Wrath. And finally, they're making some small adjustments to Daybreak cameras to make it easier to locate targets in the heat of combat. No, don't do that. That's just going to make it easier for them to hit me. So they've adjusted the super camera angle to allow players to look down further and avoid VFX blocking view of targets when moving quickly. Oh, they're going to hit me even better now.
Run!
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I found it before you cut me off. I was already there. Yeah, damaging targets with Chaos Reach extends its duration, and then you get the arc things that drop down to give you more super and everything back even faster. And yeah, between the nerf of these boots, and they don't do as much damage over time, and the it used to also give you some super back. Like if you stopped your super soon, you'd get some of that super refunded back to you immediately. They took that away too. And then the Chaos Reach being so it was so good, but being good on its own with the right aspects and fragments mixed with the Geomax stabilizers, it could be a very good boss debuffer come next season too. But again, on paper it looks good. We'll have to see how it actually plays out.
So, talking the way things play out, Bungie is letting things play out with Strand. So let's talk about it. Apparently, they're still in the process of evaluating Strand's performance in the live game, and they expect that the performance to continue to shift over the course of this year because they're going to give us new aspects. So that's obviously going to make a slight change with how we're using it, a bit like we had with Stasis, where we had different fragments and aspects kind of built into it over the year, and then the way that they kind of gave us new exotics that kind of enhance that gameplay. This is kind of going to inform them going forward. But for now, they're making some adjustments to the base cooldown times and targeted improvements to pain points that they've observed since the Lightfall's launch. So, Hunters, your threaded spike increased the projectile travel range before beginning to return to players by 30%. They've increased the damage versus PvE combatants by 55%. Slightly reduce the speed of the dart as it returns to the players to make catching it easier. Increase the energy gain for catching the dart based on the number of enemies it's hit. It now pierces Cabal Phalanx shields, and it no longer prioritizes the catch action over the grapple melee if an enemy target is within grapple melee range. Titans, the Frenzied Blade, decreased the cooldown based on how many melee charges the player has stored. At 0 charges, the cooldown reduced by 15%. At 2 charges, the cooldown reduced by 30%. And Warlock's Arcane Needle decreased the cooldown base on how many melee charges the player has stored. Again, at 0 charges, cooldown is reduced by 15%. At 2, it's reduced by 30, a bit like the Titans. Increased the projectile speed based on the projectile flight time. Initial velocity increased to 40 meters per second, up from 30. Final velocity increased to 70 meters per second, up from 60. And they've increased the projectile tracking strength by 10%. Grapple across the board is reduced base cooldown from 105 seconds to 82 seconds. They've reduced the minimum time between grapple activation from 2.5 to 0.2 seconds. Thread of generation reduced the energy generation provided by some damage over time mechanics and reduced the energy generation provided by trace rifles by 36%. What are your thoughts on Hunters then? The changes to the Hunters. You happy with that?
I mean, it was already strong. It's probably the highest DPS super in the game, right? It was already strong. And then when I saw that they gave us a defense buff, it was even stronger. And then they increased the damage on top of that? Yo! And I was talking about these changes earlier. I can't wait for these, right? The grapple recharge time, right?
Yeah.
Where like you shoot it out, and then you have to wait 2.5 seconds on just the first one to come back out again, right? After that, you can shoot as many as you want, as fast as you want. But for some stupid reason, after you shoot your first one, you have to wait 2.5 seconds before you can shoot your second one the first time, right? And it's the fixing that it's gonna make hunters so much better, right? Or at least in PvE, I'm talking about, right? And and there was another thing where it's catching the knife is dumb. I hate that aspect. It screws me up so much.
Is this true as a hunter? If you hold down the button that throws out that needle, and you hold the button down, when it comes back, you just catch it automatically.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
On controller, it doesn't work on keyboard that I've found, but on controller it does.
On controller all the way. That'll do me. I'm quite happy with that.
But the thing about the throwing knife, right? Like, it's good for a lot of things, right? Like, the more enemies I hit, the more energy I get back, builds, things like that, right? It's really good. But when I'm trying to grapple, right? The first thing that makes me mad is if I have a charged melee, I have to throw it before I go into the grapple. Because if I do the grapple and I have that charged melee, it'll use my charged melee instead of my AoE big damage hit, right?
Yep.
So, first time I come down, oops, I just used the charged melee. Dang it. And now I have to wait 2.5 seconds before I get back up on the thing and then hit them with the charged melee, right? But sometimes coming back with that charged melee is timed just well enough that when I go to do the heavy swing attack, my charged melee just reaches back to me at that moment, and I have to use a stupid catch animation instead of knocking somebody out. I don't like the knife, Bungie.
You won't have to worry about that because they're changing it.
Good. But
a bit like Stasis.
The fact that they're prioritizing the AoE over the charged melee itself is huge change. Huge change. But yes, that's how I feel about that. What about Titans? You said
Titans, yeah, it's the same as the Warlocks. Really, they've decreased the cooldown based on how many melee charges you've got. Yeah, I've learned with
Did you say
Strand.
for Warlocks too?
Yeah, I've learned with like Strand is that I only use the melee when I need to use the melee. Whereas if I'm on like Arc Titan and I'm using it to kind of the shoulder charge to get out of a situation or get into a situation as a kind of movement ability, which we'll come onto a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
I do spam that. Whereas with Strand, I know that it uses up a charge if I touch the button. So it's one of those things I only use it when I need to. So yeah, it's a good thing. And the grapple coming back is a good thing because if you have the armamentarium on and you have a grapple, it gives you double grapple with the armamentarium because it thinks you've got 2 grenades. So that's cool. So I like that.
Yeah, and hunters already have 2 grenades, so you know.
Stasis tunings. So across
Yes.
seasons 14 and 15, which were way back, they made a series of tuning changes to our stasis subclass to bring them closer to our expected power bar.
I hated these changes. These were the worst changes Bungie ever made. You killed
In Crucible.
the hunters in combat.
Oh.
Sorry.
With subclass 3.0 and Strand out the door, we're revisiting some of the changes that they made in those updates, and they feel that specific stasis abilities or aspects are lacking in the current landscape, in particular where previous changes had a negative impact on the feel of an ability. So Hunters, Withering Blade, they've increased the projectile tracking search range on bounce versus players by 20%, and they've increased the maximum tracking strength by 12.5.
That's
Yeah, but
stupid.
you guys with your Withering Blades throwing them out all the time was just
All the time. I can hit you with both of them and you only get like 30 frost.
Yes, but they've kind of taken a couple of steps back and it's going to probably work a bit better now.
Well, I don't care about that. I'd rather it either A, I can hit you with both and freeze you.
Well, you never know, you might now.
And then B, no, they didn't say anything about that. And
No.
then B, it do a little bit more damage. Because I can hit you with both of them, and it doesn't even take your overshield. It's just they're so weak in PvP. And PvE, they're okay. But like I'd rather them freeze or do more damage than this. This to me is a dumb increase.
And you better watch out, because when my Titan pops his Shiver Strike, I can move slightly faster to get to you rather than boom, 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 boom. Oh,
I thought it was further.
I've got
Is it faster?
Yeah, it's faster. They've increased the flight increase by 16, the maximum thrust while in flight increased by 16%, but they've decreased the maximum downward influence of gravity while in flight by 18%. So basically, you're not going to be pulled back down to it. It's not like you're not going to be wearing ice boots, basically. So you'll be able to catch up with your enemies and you'll be able to do some damage to them. Whereas at the moment, if I pop it, that person's seen that I've popped it and they've run away, or they've leapt up in the air to get away from me slamming the ground where my icicles are. So there's no point in me actually popping it.
Right.
Howl of the Storm increased the width of the freezing cone versus players by 31%. I'm not 100% sure on what that one is because
I don't know either.
I haven't used.
Is that your slide where you send out a bunch of crystals?
No. How I honestly I couldn't remember because I haven't played as a Stasis Titan for forever. Basically, every now and then maybe, but I don't take a note of what they are.
Fair.
And Warlocks, your Frost Pulse now provides 2 meters of additional melee lunge range after an activation for 1.2 seconds. So, yeah, that's cool.
I don't know what that means. Now provides 2 meters of additional melee lunge range so they can go further after activation for 1.2 seconds. I don't know what Frost Pulse is. Is that good, Warlocks? Is that a good thing? Are y'all excited? I don't.
They put it there, and the Warlocks seem to be excited.
Okay.
So, light subclass tuning updates. For our light subclasses, Season 21 brings a general tuning pass with a wide variety of abilities, focusing on those that are significantly overperforming or underperforming. Bungie have finally done it, and they've upset the Titans to the point of... Right, I'll read it because I am a little bit. I'm a little bit upset, just a little bit upset, and I'm sure probably Micah was probably extremely.
Oh no, we had words. Yeah.
Well,
I was waiting for this.
With update 3.4.0, we made shoulder charge abilities, Seismic Strike, Shield Bash, and Hammer Strike significantly easier to use and increase their viability as a movement tool at the cost of the ability to one-shot another player without the intentional build crafting. As subclass 3.0 has rolled out and shoulder charge abilities are no longer locked to a specific subclass diamond, it became clear that the extreme mobility enabled by the energy cost of shoulder charge is too high. No, it's not.
It's pretty high.
No.
Yeah.
So while they're comfortable with players having a strong mobility capabilities at their disposal, these abilities should have a meaningful trade-off for their use and shouldn't all be an always on. To that end, they're adding a small melee energy cost to shoulder charge abilities on activation, regardless of whether the target was hit or not. They realise this is a big shift and don't want to punish players who use these abilities primarily for offense. So we're offsetting this change with a decrease in their base cooldown. So basically what this means is if you've been using Seismic Strike, Shield Bash, or Hammer Strike to get around and do a little bit of moving, it's going to work the same way that Strand and Stasis does. If you hit that melee button, it's going to cost you your melee energy, but not as much. So Seismic Strike, Shield Bash, and Hammer Strike now cost 15% melee energy on activation. If you have a base cooldown, which are now standardized at 91 seconds, previously ranged from 101 seconds to 114. Based on your strength stat, the effective cooldown on shoulder charge as a movement tool will range from around 17 seconds at 0 strength down to around 7 seconds at 100% strength. So basically they want you to build into strength rather than just use it whenever and however you want to kind of use it. What is upsetting? What is upsetting for me is that this has been built into our subclasses from the day one. You know, ever since we came into Destiny 2, this has always been a thing of Titans use this as a movement thing to get around. If Bungie had come out like a year or 2 years into the game and gone what they're saying now, I think it would have been a hard pill to swallow. Now it just feels like they're kicking us when we're down.
Because of this?
Because
the melee cost that's needed. Y'all have.
Listen.
Nah, bro.
I do get it. I do get it because when we saw that the Strand and the Stasis changes came in, that if you hit that melee button to get out of a situation, it actually costs the whole of your melee charge. So it kind of made Titans wake up and go, you know, if we're going to use these subclasses, we're going to have to use the melee properly to kind of do that. But on our other alternate light subclasses that can kind of get away with this is what we're going to be using it for. I don't think it's fair to change a subclass movement ability this far into the game without. I don't think they should have done it. I mean, I get it.
I think it's fine. I don't think they did enough to knockout. I guess they kind of did with the uncharged 60 to 100%, but that knockout is what ended me a lot.
Okay,
you know, I kept getting mad every time. I'm like, I thought you couldn't one shot anymore, Bungie.
Okay,
and I'm getting one shot by all these freaking knockout Titans.
If Bungie turned around today and said, "Hunters, you know your dodge ability. When you dodge near an enemy, it fully recharges your melee." Yeah,
sure, yeah,
and that's across all your subclasses.
No.
So, is it not?
No.
Okay. It's across some of the subclasses.
Most of them, yes.
Okay. So imagine if Bungie then turned around and said, you dodge near an enemy. If you've already expended your melee energy, you dodge near the enemy, you only get half of that back now.
Okay.
Would you be happy with that? Or would you say, no, Bungie, this has been built in since day one. Why are you now taking like 4 years later and going, now we can't do that?
For the Arc and Solar builds, yes, I would be upset.
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's built into. It's not like if they'd have changed this when they did that whole subclass 3.0 rework and they gave us the trees, and they worked it out differently. If this had been built into that, I think as Titans we would have accepted it a bit better, because it would have been, oh, we're reworking the whole subclass thing. This is an afterthought of, oh, okay, so they're still using this to get around, so we're going to kind of nerf it. And I accept, it's going to take, you're going to have to build into strength to kind of get it back within 7 seconds.
Which makes sense, because we have to build into things like that. Yeah. I don't know why you shouldn't.
No, but you don't have to build into that with your dodge ability. You automatically, if you're near an enemy, you automatically get that melee back. And that's the way. If they did the same to the hunters, I'd be upset as well for you as a hunters, because I use that when I'm on a hunter. If I dodge near somebody, I expect to kind of have if it didn't come back up straight away, I'd be angry. I'd be like, well, what's this silly thing that we now suddenly got? If I'd have known about it in the first place, Bungie, I would have built into it with doing different things. Whereas now, it's been so long that I think that's what's a little bit upsetting.
Yeah, but I mean, that's your complaint. It's not what's happening, but how long it took them to do it. I mean, am I picking up on that? Because
like I said, when they did the reworks of all the light-based subclasses, didn't they? If they'd have built this into it, I'd have completely.
But this is only Arc Titan. Arc Titan is the biggest. No,
it's not.
That's what I said earlier. It's the biggest threat in PvP right now. It's a freaking Arc Titan.
No, but it's not.
Is.
Arc Titan is the Seismic Strike. Shield Bash is the Void, and Hammer Strike is the Solar. So they've touched.
Yeah, but I didn't say anything about the Shield Bash or the Hammer Throw. I'm only talking about Knockout mostly, right? Yeah, which again is tied to how often you can use your melee, right? I think that's important. I'm not complaining about the Shield Throw or the Throwing Hammer. Well, okay. The fact that it already magnetizes towards every freaking Guardian on the field bugs me. But they're increasing the magnetization, right? So that it tracks targets easier. I wasn't really happy about that. But the biggest threat, I think, was the Arc. I think Arc needed that. I think Arc needs more than this. But this is a good start.
No, but they're only nerfing the fact that the Titans can get around. They're not nerfing the fact that you get your shoulder charge. Because if you expend your shoulder charge, you've got to have built into strength to use it to get it back up. That's
why you have to now build into it. You're not just going to get it, right? At least now you got to build into it, which could screw up some of your other builds.
Titans. This isn't to nerf ability spamming in any way that is a detriment to other classes. Other classes have other ways of kind of dodging or getting out of the way of something. If you dodged out of the way, you'd still get your melee back.
We're not invincible during a dodge. If you're coming at me and I dodge, I'm not
invincible during a shoulder charge.
No, but like you assume we can just dodge out of anything. It's like it's not the case, dude. Dash is not all powerful.
It may not be the same comparison, but it was the only thing I could think of on a hunter. Okay. Whereas if you didn't get it back, it would affect your gameplay in some way, and you would have
definitely the melees. Yeah, the melee's not coming back for. Again, the Arc and the Solar would definitely be a problem.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my gripe. It's over and done with, because at the end of the day, I have no saying this, because in Season 21, they're also making some adjustments to Knockout, Shield Throw, Throwing Hammer, and Sunspots. So Knockout currently offers a large number of easy-to-access powerful effects, the most prominent of which is a long-duration melee lunge, which has provided to be extremely difficult to combat as a potential target. We're reducing the melee lunge bonus it provides from 2 meters to 1. To offset this change in PvE, we're also increasing its uncharged melee damage bonus versus PvE targets from 60 to 100%.
Needed.
Okay. So Knockout, which is your Arc, which is your lunge range reduced from 6.5 to 5.5. Uncharged melee PvE damage is increased from 60 to 100. For Shield Throw and Throwing Hammer, they're making a few improvements to their usability, primarily against fast-moving targets, so hunters, basically. Shield Throw increased base impact damage from 60 to 70, increase the consistency of finding and adjusting initial trajectory towards a new target after bounce, and Throwing Hammer now adjusts its initial flight trajectory based on your aim assist target.
I wonder what I used before.
What do you mean?
Well, you would think that the hammer would go in the trajectory that you threw it, right? But they're acting like they just now did it so that the hammer would go in the trajectory that you throw it. Like what? Were you Titans throwing it straight and it coming out on the left side of your ass?
No, but no, this isn't your super. As far as I'm aware, this isn't your super throwing hammer. This is like your melee throwing hammer. So your throwing hammer, you do have to be pretty much on target. It doesn't have like a Thor's hammer auto aim. It will go to you and hit you on the head and come back, kind of thing, or even just kind of roll back to you. It's not that good. So I'm hopefully this is going to be quite good, because your throwing hammer, if you can get a hit on somebody and then pick it back up, you do recharge your melee, which is quite nice.
Yep. And then you got to build where you got to do that 3 times to build 3 stacks of burning whatever, and then you become a real monster, right? Isn't that how that works?
Yeah. You get your stacks. So apparently, with the launch of Witch Queen last year, we implemented a preemptive tuning change to reduce the amount of damage sunspots dealt to players. Yes, you did, and it upset me because I thought I was going to do lots more damage in the Crucible. Sunbreaker performance is currently trailing the rest of the Titan subclasses in Crucible. So guess what? In Season 21, we're walking that change back slightly to make Sunspots a safer haven for Sunbreakers and their allies, and better at encouraging enemies to keep their distance. Yes. So the Sol Invictus increases the damage dealt by sunspots to enemy players per tick from 17 to 22. So not all the way back. I think it was something like 28 damage. I think we lost about 10 from that. So
still, that hurts.
It hurt a little bit more than you kind of just walking through and going, oh, you're tickling me. Oh.
At least we take damage. We throw a freaking Dustro grenade at you guys. Not only do you walk through, but you also don't take damage.
But for hunters, they're making a series of targeted changes to Night Stalker and Gunslinger melee.
This was totally unneeded. This is unnecessary.
Okay, so you can have a rant in a minute then. For Night Stalkers, we're increasing the Snare Bomb's effectiveness as a debuffing tool to help enable more offensive playstyles and furthering their ability to support their allies. So the Snare Bomb increases the PvE weaken duration on detonation from 4 seconds to 8 seconds.
That's okay.
For Gunslingers, proximity explosive knives and weighted throwing knife, particularly on mouse and keyboard, have dominated in their performance.
Disagree.
No, but this is what they're saying. You said that
no, it does. I'm just being an ass. It absolutely, it's really good.
Okay. With lightweight knife struggling to land its intended role as an easy-to-use melee option, to bring these back into our expected power band, we're shifting the damage output of proximity explosive knives slightly further towards direct impacts, reducing the ease of use of weighted throwing knife for mouse and keyboard inputs, especially at very close ranges, and making lightweight knives easier to use for a broader range of player skills. For your proximity explosive knife, detonation damage versus player reduced from 105 to 90, impact damage versus player increased from 14 to 20, weighted throwing knife.
That's definitely because of how good they are in PvP, 100%.
Yeah. For weighted throwing knife on mouse and keyboard, they reduce the minimum track shape size by 25% and maximum track shape size by 10%. This shape grows over 0.5 seconds after the projectile is thrown. Lightweight knife, projectile speed increased from 30 meters per second to 40 meters per second.
Hold on. Basically, what he just said is they nerfed our auto assist, is what that did.
Yeah, your cone
pretty
kind
badly.
Of goes very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. The tracking shape size increased by 20% for your lightweight knife. In addition to be granting an extra fragment slot, we're also significantly reducing the cooldown of Gunpowder Gamble, which currently lives in too narrow a niche to see a widespread usage. So the Gunpowder Gamble is reduced the cooldown from 12 seconds to 6 seconds. What is your Gunpowder?
After so many kills or so many hits, our grenade turns into basically some duct tape dynamite, right?
Okay. Oh yeah, I know. Yes.
Yeah.
And you throw it and it explodes. It's like an extra.
Yep, and it does not eat up a grenade charge either.
I like that. I did like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, what they didn't tell you is how much better they just made trip mine builds, right? Because in order to get your trip mine back faster, the more of those lightweight throwing knives you hit, the more grenade energy you get back, right? So 9 times out of 10, I'll hit with 1 or 2 blades and I'll get 90% or 100% of my grenade back, right? So by increasing how well these work, basically just said, "Oh yeah, no, we like the trip mine build, guys. Here, let's make it better." I'm like, okay. No, I gotta see if if adding a gunpowder gamble into that would make it better. Like, can we have the same build, but now we also have gunpowder gamble to toss in with them nades? Oh, that sounds fun.
Well, also what sounds fun is for Warlocks. They've got some changes to the Incendiary Snap, Ball Lightning, and a pair of Chaos Accelerant boosted grenades. During Season 21 development, we identified a bug with the Incinerator Snap. Incinerator. Can't even say the word. Incinerator? Incinerator? Is it incinerator or Yeah.
Incinerate means to set on fire to burn to nothing.
It's
But I'm trying to see what you read.
Incinerator.
Oh yeah, incinerator snap. Yeah, okay.
That's the word.
Yeah,
That resulted
incinerator.
in the projectiles failing to proximity detonate. We fixed this bug and needed to make some tuning adjustments to compensate. In PvE, Incinerator's Snap should feel more consistent and keep roughly the same damage output that it has in previous seasons.
Ooh.
In the Crucible, however, Incinerator's Snap total damage has been reduced slightly to offset dramatically improved consistently. So the
Wow.
Incinerator Snap fixed an issue, like I've just said, and the total damage versus player reduced from 150 to 135 to compensate for dramatically increasing consistently. So they bumped it up because it was inconsistent, and now we're putting it back down because they've fixed the bug. Good job, Bungie. Ball Lightning.
Working as intended.
Ball Lightning, they've increased the PvE damage output and implemented a small quality of life change to help prevent PvE combatants from flinching out of its downward lightning strike while player is amplified. So the Ball Lightning increased in PvE damage by 30% and reduced the ping scaler on both primary and secondary detonations. Combatants are less likely to be knocked out of the secondary strike area while the player is amplified.
Is that the
That's that kind of, you do that ball like you look like do a Hadouken.
that's the menace in PvP that people are complaining about, right? Because when the warlock comes at you and they turn into that lightning, not only can they nearly one shot you, but you can't hurt them. They're actually invincible, right?
I don't know. Are they?
Yeah.
I don't come across it that often.
Ooh, I wonder why. Sounds really good.
With the launch of Season 16 way back when, they made some changes to charged scatter grenades to improve their consistency. While these changes helped, there are still too many inconsistencies of submunitions. Too many inconsistencies basically for their comfort. So they've increased their lifetime and tracking capabilities. In addition, they're increasing the time players can hold a charge of magnetic grenades to allow a more bit of a leeway in their timing to counterplay an enemy trying to close the gap. So Chaos Accelerant scatter grenades increase the tracking consistently of charged scatter grenade submunation, or whatever that word is. Increase the submunation arming detonation. I think those are just the little kind of things that come off of it.
Submunition.
Oh, submunition, yes. Fixed a bug where some submunitions were impacting the ground and on creation in some situations, resulting in an early detonation. And magnetic grenade, handheld supernova, increased the charge hold time from 3.2 to 4.5. Now, correct me again if I'm wrong about this, but the handheld supernova again was one of those things that you could hold on to when we first got it for quite a bit of time, and then they walked it back and said, no, you can't hold on to it for that long. Now we're going back the other way, that you can now hold on to it for a bit more longer.
Working as intended, yeah.
Yeah. Again, working as intended, they've identified a bug allowing the lightning surge to effectively one-shot an enemy player in the Crucible. If near this is one of those things, if it's near a wall or other surface. So they're fixing this bug and making some updates to Lightning Surge to provide a more consistent experience for both attacker and target. So Lightning Surge fixed an issue, allowing Lightning Surge to deal more instances of secondary strike damage than intended. Now targets can take a maximum of 2 instances of damage from a single activation of the ability. One from the primary lightning strike around the player and the other one from a secondary lightning strike. This change necessitates some changes in the damage values, but in general its damage output should be significantly more consistent and slightly higher than intended values previously, but without the ability to one-shot a single enemy in the Guardian from full health. Good change there, Bungie. Keep that up. Subclass keywords and tuning updates. With Season 21, we're also making changes to a handful of subclass keywords for our Arc and Solar subclasses. Today, we're talking about Scorch, Jolt, and Speed Boost. This might be the thing where you were talking about earlier that you heard about the Jolt. So the damage...
it was in the Chaos Reach.
Okay.
Yeah.
The damage and duration of Scorch is highly valuable depending on how many stacks are applied for a given source. While the variable is intentional, the delta in the value between the low and the high stack amount is a little too high for our liking. So we're slightly increasing the duration before the Scorch stacks begin dropping off, a target to give them a low stack amount. Sorry?
I said that's nice, because Scorch stacks fall off real easy, yeah, because like, there was a weapon that I was using that was applying almost exactly 50 Scorch stacks, and sometimes I could just ignite in 2 hits as long as I went fast enough, but if I was just slightly slower, it would just start degrading so fast that, I had to hit a 3rd time most times. But if they're increasing how long the Scorch stacks last, that's good in my opinion. That's what I was saying.
Okay. So given that the damage and the duration of the Scorch is highly variable depending on how many stacks are applied from a given source, Scorch, they're increasing the stun time before stacks begin to fall off from 1.5 to 2.3 seconds on player. Increase the stun time before stacks begin to fall off from 3 seconds to 4.5 on PvE combatants. And same kind of thing with Jolt. So with Jolt, they're reducing the base PvE damage by 15%, and they're reducing the additional damage scalar versus major combatants in PvE by 20%. Because they made it too powerful, basically. And with Speed Booster, we're making a handful of quality life improvements. Specifically, we're making its activation time slightly shorter, while increasing its linger time after stopping and sprint to make maintaining an active speed boost more achievable in combat. We're also slightly reducing the additional jump accelerant it provides. So the speed boost that you get, the bonus jump accelerant scalar reduced from 1.5 to 1.25, now activates while sprinting after 2.5 seconds, down from 3 seconds. Now lingers while the player is not sprinting for 2 seconds, up from 1.5. And they fixed the bug where if the player was already sprinting and then become amplified, the speed booster wouldn't be granted. Whew. And that's it from the ability tuning. I feel that we need a drink. We need to kind of come back. We need to recuperate. And then we can move into This Week at Bungie for the 4th of May, 2023. But before we get into This Week at Bungie, shall I tell people what's happening this week in Destiny?
Oh, yeah.
Hello and welcome to the 11th week of Season 20, Season of Defiance, starting on May 9th, 2023. So for week 11, let's have a look at our legacy rotation, starting with the Forsaken expansion.
Ready if you are. Let's see what's out there.
The Dreaming City this week is at a weak curse level, which means Petrovenge can be found in the Strand, and has the Broken Courier mission for the next week. The Blindwell features Scorn enemies and the Plagues, Sicarus and Veracus. The Ascendant challenge this week will be the Agonon's Abyss, which can be located over in the Baledrowned Wishes Lost sector on the Dreaming City. Next up, the Shadowkeep expansion. On the Moon, the weekly story mission is Beyond. The Trove Guardian is located in Archer's Line. The Wandering Nightmare is the Nightmare Resortal in Sorrow's Harbour. And the Nightmare hunts this week will be Taniks, Isolation, Zydron, Servitude, and Gaul, Rage. For our Beyond Light expansion, on Europa this week, Critics the Dark Priestess will be the Empire Hunt, Eventide Ruins will be the Eclipse Zone, and the Exo Challenge will be Survival. For the 30th anniversary expansion, we have the loot rotation for Dares of Eternity, which will be on week 3's rotation, with the Scatterhorn armor set and the Lightkin armor set being available. The weapons available this week are the Kinetic Rapid Fire Frame Auto Rifle Chroma Rush, the Kinetic Lightweight Frame Grenade Launcher Ignition Code, the Void Rapid Fire Frame Pulse Rifle Grid Skipper, the Kinetic Lightweight Frame Sidearm Farewell, the Solar Pinpoint Slug Frame Shotgun Sonja's Tale, the Void Rapid Fire Frame Machine Gun Shattered Cipher, the Arc Precision Frame Fusion Rifle Main Ingredient, the Kinetic Adaptive Frame Sniper Rifle Long Shadow, the Arc Omolon Adaptive Frame Sidearm The Last Dance, the Kinetic Aggressive Frame Shotgun Toil and Trouble, the Solar Rapid Fire Frame Shotgun Wishbringer, and the Void Adaptive Frame Pulse Rifle Last Edition. For the Witch Queen expansion, the Witch Queen weekly story mission is the Cunning, where the modifier is Scorched Earth, as well as Barrier and Unstoppable champions. Also this week you will have Altars of Reflection Choice and Altars of Reflection Insight. The Wellspring activity has been updated to include a featured Throne World weapon, Veritas armor, and a weapon pattern as its rewards. For the Lightfall expansion, the weekly mission is First Contact, with extra shields, locked loadouts, and extra champions, Barrier and Unstoppable champions, Void Threat, Scorched Earth, Overcharged weapons, Void and Strand surges, Overcharged shotgun, and Galvanized on hero difficulty only. The Partition mission will be Backdoor, contest mode enabled, with Barrier and Overload champions, Void Threat, Void and Solar shields, Shocker modifier with Void and Strand surges. And the Vex incursion this week will be Zephyr's Concourse. In addition, the weekly Lightfall reset also refreshes the pinnacle drop for the Node Override Avalon exotic mission on the EDZ. Raids and Dungeons. The Root of Nightmares raid challenge this week is the third encounter, Macrocosm, called Cosmic Equilibrium. Players must swap all of the dark planets to the left side of the room and all of the light worlds to the right. The Kingsfall raid challenge this week is the fourth encounter, Daughters of Oryx, called Under Construction. Players cannot stand on the same plate twice in a single phase. The Vault of Glass challenge this week is the fifth encounter, Atheon, called Ensembler's Refrain. Each player teleported can only destroy one oracle in each spawn set. The Deepstone Crypt challenge this week is the second encounter, Atrax 1, called Copies of Copies, where you must not send any Atrax 1 replicant debuffs into the airlock/space. The Garden of Salvation challenge this week is the fourth encounter, Sanctified Mind, called 0 to 100, where you must fully fill each conflux with 30 motes within 10 seconds of initially banking the first set of motes. And the Last Wish challenge this week is the fourth encounter, Vault, called Keep Out. Guardians must ensure that no Might of Riven Knights make it into the center chamber during the Vault fight. Your pinnacle raid will be the Vow the Disciple over on the Throne World, which means all challenges will be available for each encounter. These are the first encounter, Acquisition, called Swift Destruction, where Guardians must kill all the champions within a few seconds of each other on all rounds. The second encounter, Caretaker, called Base Information, where runners cannot pick up more than one stack of knowledge on each run. The third encounter, the Upender, called Defenses Down. This is where each player cannot kill more than one Taken Knight in total. And the fourth encounter, Rorke, called Looping Catalyst. This is where Guardians must not lose the Leeching Force before the damage phase. Also, with the Vow the Disciple being the featured raid, this does mean that you can farm the final boss for a chance at the 390 RPM Void Exotic Pulse Rifle, Collective Obligation. And the pinnacle dungeon for this week will be the Prophecy, over in the Legends tab. Next up, challenges. We have now had all 76 challenges over the first 10 weeks of the season. So, as a reminder, if you have completed 72 out of these 76, you can get a large pile of Bright Dust to spend at the Eververse store in-game. Here's a few that you might have missed that you might want to get completed in the next 2 weeks. Pinnacle. Reach power level 1810 by earning Pinnacle rewards for Challenge XP+++ and Bright Dust. Trial by Firing Squad. Win multiple rounds in Trials of Osiris for Challenge XP+++ and Bright Dust and a Trials weapon. Fleeting Glory. Complete Crucible matches in the competitive playlist. Earn bonus progress for wins for Challenge XP+++ and Bright Dust. Dredging Up Victory. Complete Gambit matches. Earn bonus progress for wins for Challenge XP+ and Bright Dust. Darkest Nightfall. Complete any Nightfall on Hero difficulty or higher for Challenge XP+ and Bright Dust and a Nightfall weapon. Commendation Appreciation. Earn progress for giving 10 commendations in Vanguard, Crucible and Gambit activities for Challenge XP+ and Bright Dust. Lost in Legend. Complete a Lost Sector on Legend or Master for Challenge XP+ and Bright Dust. Acquire the Crucible Ornament for the Ecliptic Distaff for Challenge XP+++ and Bright Dust. Acquire the Gambit Ornament for the Ecliptic Distaff for Challenge XP+++ and Bright Dust. And acquire the Vanguard Ornament for the Ecliptic Distaff for Challenge XP+++ and Bright Dust. And speaking of Bright Dust, we have our 11th Eververse of the season for the week of May 9th, 2023. Available this week for Bright Dust we have The Reigning Champion Exotic Emote for 3,250 Bright Dust. The Plus Shell Exotic Ghost Shell for 2,850 Bright Dust. The Cherry Blossom Entrance Legendary Transmit Effect for 450 Bright Dust. The Rivalry White Sands Legendary Shader for 300 Bright Dust. The Golden Age Wine Legendary Shader for 300 Bright Dust. The Curling Shuffle Exotic Multiplayer Emote for 4,250 Bright Dust. The Weightlifter Legendary Emote for 700 Bright Dust. The High Score Legendary Emote for 700 Bright Dust. The Champion Shell Exotic Ghost Shell for 2,850 Bright Dust. The Vie for Glory Exotic Sparrow for 2,500 Bright Dust. The Victor's Palanquin Exotic Ship for 2,000 Bright Dust. And finally, the Guardian Games Projection Legendary Ghost Projection for 1,500 Bright Dust.
Hello!
As a reminder, your daily loss sector will show you a flag outside which will give you details of threats, shields, champions and exotic armor you will find inside. But if you're new to the game or you're using an alternate character and can't find the flag outside, you will have to run through the loss sector normally to have it show up on your map as the Legend/Master, which you can either do solo or with a fire team, but you will only be able to earn a chance at the exotic drop when completing solo. Tuesday, May 9th will be Skydock 4 on the EDZ for exotic boots, Solar Threat, Solar and Strand Surges with Void Elemental Shields, Overcharged Shotgun with Barrier and Unstoppable Champions. Wednesday, May 10th will be the Quarry on the EDZ for exotic gauntlets, Void Threat, Solar and Strand Surges with Void and Solar Elemental Shields, Overcharged Grenade Launcher with Barrier and Unstoppable Champions. Thursday, May 11th will be the Aphelios Rest on the Dream City for exotic chests, Stasis Threat, Solar and Strand Surges with Void Elemental Shields, Overcharged Shotgun with Unstoppable and Overload Champions. Friday, May 12th will be the Chamber of Starlight on the Dream City for exotic helmets, Solar Threat, Void and Strand Surges with Void and Solar Elemental Shields, Overcharged Sword with Unstoppable and Overload Champions. Saturday, May 13th will be Perdition on Europa for exotic boots, Arc Threat, Void and Strand Surges with Void and Arc Elemental Shields, Overcharged Fusion Rifle with Barrier and Overload Champions. Sunday, May 14th will be Bunker E15 on Europa for exotic gauntlets, Void Threat, Void and Strand Surges with Void Elemental Shields, Overcharged Grenade Launcher with Barrier and Overload Champions. And finally, background to Monday, May 15th will be the Conflux on Nessus for exotic chests, Solar Threat, Void and Strand Surges with Void Elemental Shields, Overcharged Trace Rifle with Barrier and Unstoppable Champions.
Lead the way.
The Grandmaster Nightfalls are here, which means if you already have your Conquest Seal, you will be able to select whichever Grandmaster Nightfall you want in any order to gild your title. And with that, our 11th featured Nightfall will see us face off against Belmont in the Glassway over on Europa, where you have a chance to get a Pinnacle Engram if you complete the Nightfall with a score of 200k or more. This Nightfall will require you to own the Beyond Light expansion to play. You will be able to earn high-end gear for your characters, including the Nightfall featured weapon, exotic gear, enhancement cores, enhancement prisms, and adept Nightfall ciphers. The higher the Nightfall difficulty, the more common the drop will be, with the featured weapon and exotic gear being uncommon at hero difficulty to being common with Ascendant Shards in Grandmasters. And this week we'll see the return of double rewards in the Nightfall playlist. So if you want more loot and crafting materials, this will be a good week to get in there, do some farming, and stock up for Season of the Deep. Legend and lower Nightfalls will have 7 Barrier and 8 Overload Champions, with 3 Solar, 5 Void, and 12 Arc Shields. Masters will have 12 Barrier and 12 Overload, with 3 Solar and 8 Arc Shields. Your Nightfall modifiers are Hero Difficulty, Maximum Effective Level 1765, Matchmaking is available, Enemies have extra shields, Champions Foe, you will face Barrier and Overload Champions. You can either use Intrinsic Exotics, use a subclass debuff, or unlock anti-champion mods from the seasonal artifact. Arachno, when defeated, Fallen Vandals spawn a web mine at their feet. Void Elemental Threat, 25% increase to Void incoming damage. Overcharge weapons. Weapons overcharged from the seasonal artifact are active in this activity. Kinetic weapons do increased damage when your subclass element matches an active surge. Void Surge, 25% bonus to outgoing Void damage. Strand Surge, 25% bonus to outgoing Strand damage. Overcharge Weapon, 25% bonus damage with grenade launchers. Galvanize, combatants have more health and are more difficult to stun. Legend difficulty, maximum effective level 1815. includes all previous modifiers except galvanized. No matchmaking. Equipment locked. You'll be unable to change your equipment once this mission starts. Master difficulty, maximum effective level 1820, includes all previous modifiers except galvanized. Champions mob. This difficulty adds more champion enemies. Grandmaster difficulty, maximum effective level 1815, includes all previous modifiers except galvanized. Joining progress disabled. Extinguish. If your fireteam falls in a restricted zone, your team is returned to orbit. Limited revives. Gain additional revives by defeating champions, up to a maximum of 20. Contest mode, which caps your power level to make enemies more of a challenge. And Chafe. Radar is disabled. To combat champions this season, you have access to subclass counters as well as a choice of intrinsic anti-champion artifact mods, which are Anti-Barrier Pulse and Anti-Barrier Sidearm, Overload Bow, Overload Submachine Gun and Auto Rifle, and Medieval Champion, where glaives fire projectiles that stun unstoppable champions. Swords stun overload champions on consecutive hits. You also have exotic weapons and armor that can help with intrinsic mods as well. For anti-barrier, the kinetic bow Wishender, the kinetic linear fusion rifle Arbalest, the kinetic pulse rifle Revision 0, the solar energy hand cannon Eriana's Vow, the solar heavy sword the Lament, and the Titan Gauntlet's Second Chance, which gain a second charge of your shield throw melee, which becomes shield piercing and stuns barrier champions. And for overload, the Void Energy Bow Le Monarch, the Arc Energy Linear Trace Rifle Divinity, the Arc Heavy Machine Gun Thunderlord, and the Warlock Exotic Boots the Secant Filaments, which when you drop an Empowering Rift, any weapon that is fired from inside the well can cause an overload champion to be stunned. The Nightfall featured weapon to obtain this week will be the Kinetic Adaptive Frame Sidearm, the Buzzard. The Buzzard has a base impact of 49, range of 36 and stability of 67. It can roll with Frenzy, Rangefinder and Kinetic Tremors, with Pulse Monitor, Perpetual Motion and Overflow. It has the origin trait of Stunning Recovery, where if you stun a champion you partially refill the magazine, trigger health regen and improve your recovery for a short duration. And Vanguard Vindication, where final blows with the weapon grant a small amount of health. The Guardian Games 2023 continues this week. And as a reminder, Guardian Games is an annual 3-week event which pits class against class against class. Titans, Warlocks and Hunters will have to battle it out and fight for glory across multiple game modes to find out who is the ultimate class. Available for a second week will be the Crucible mode for Guardian Games, Supremacy, with the option to matchmake by class. When launching this version of Supremacy, you can matchmake into a team comprised only by your class. So if you're a Hunter, you and 5 other Hunters will face a team of Warlocks or Titans. Every Guardian that falls will leave a class-based crest behind, and collecting those is the key to win each match, no matter if they were dropped by a defeated enemy or by a fallen comrade. Focus on recovering the crest to earn points and defeat the opposing classes. There is also a Supremacy quest and 4 torches in the Tower to Light. Guardian Games also brings with it some featured weapons like the 750 RPM Aggressive Frame Submachine Gun, the Title. The Title has a base impact of 22, range of 40 and stability of 20. It can roll with Repulsor Brace, Rangefinder and Vorpal, with Offhand Strike, Dynamic Sway Reduction and Threat Detector. And this year's featured Guardian Games weapon to obtain is the Strand Lightweight Frame Scout Rifle, Thraxipos. The Thraxipos has a base impact of 60, range of 30 and stability of 42. It can roll with Cascade Point, Hatchling and Kill Clip, with Offhand Strike, Zen Moment and Moving Target. Both weapons come with the origin trait of Classy Contender, where final blows grant class ability energy. So defend the honour of your class in the Guardian Games. Deposit medallions at the podium and light those torches to earn your rewards. And Lord Shaxx brings Zone Control to the Relentless Crucible playlist for the 11th week of the season. Zone Control is a 6v6 game mode which emphasises team-based gameplay in capturing zones and not kills. Zone Control forces players to collaborate more actively in capturing and defending zones. Capturing zones dramatically takes longer if only one player tries to do it themselves, with it taking 22.5 seconds to capture the point, whereas 2 can capture within 10 seconds. 3 or more players will capture a zone in 7.5 seconds. Beyond that, capturing a zone will net teams 1 point per capture, and holding onto the point will reward 2 points every 15 seconds per zone, making it essential to lock down areas rather than float between them carelessly. The first team to 125 points will win.
Delightful!
And a good old Saint 14 will be back on Friday at Reset to bring you another weekend of fun in the Trials of Osiris. This will be the penultimate Trials of the season, so if you've still not got your new Immortal submachine gun, or guns that are leaving at the end of the season, like the Kinetic Lightweight Frame Bow, the Whistler's Whim, and Arc Pinpoint Slug Frame Shotgun, the Inquisitor, then this is the time to get in there and fight. As a reminder, Trials of Osiris is a 3v3 PvP high-stakes variant of Elimination. Only available from Friday Reset until Tuesday Weekly Reset, Trials gives every player the chance to show off their PvP skills to obtain some of Destiny's most sought-after weapons and armour. Players that compete in the Trials of Osiris will have all of their games tracked to a passage card, a ticket purchased from Saint 14 in the lower hangar of the tower. Winning rounds and matches in Trials will grant exclusive weapons, armour, pinnacle gear, masterwork material, and even adept gear for the most skilled players who can reach the Lighthouse with a flawless ticket of 7 games won and no losses. 5 round wins will bag you that match for your passage card. By competing in Trials, you do have a chance to pick up 2 pinnacle engrams from playing each week, one from 50 round wins and the other from winning 7 games. These do not have to be done all in one go, but you do have to complete them before the weekly reset.
That is amazing.
And that's it for the 11th week of Season of Defiance. Good luck in the games, Guardians. Allons-y.
Guardian down.
So welcome back to This Week at Bungie for the 4th of May. So the good news is that we've kind of already covered what was happening last week in last week's TWAB, so we don't need to go over that.
Yeah.
We've talked about Guardian games, and if you forgot about it, because I forgot about it, because I did think maybe we should register for the Guardian Games Cup, but then Respawn's been away, Peroty's gone away for the weekend, so it would have just been me holding down the fort. So there's only so many medals I can bank, but maybe next time, maybe we'll get our act together and actually get a team together and going for the Guardian Games Cup. That'd be fun. You never know. We are going to have a look at the Season of the Deep first look. We're going to look at key art and launch times, dates revealed, details on our 3 new strands aspects. Don't forget there's new exotic armor focusing and stat roll details.
Not now, in Season 21.
Oh yeah, upcoming economy and crafting updates, a note on upcoming season passes, Trials of Osiris updates, a sneak peek at new rewards and weapon changes, what they've learnt from Trials Labs, update to Trials Info Quest, changes to Passage and Wealth and Mercy, Dominion as a new core mode, Flawless Gilding update, new emblem reward, Trials map voting results, new Prime gear, and that's it. So, I flicked down really fast. That went super fast.
Flick.
Guardian games, yes, we've talked about that. We did Guardian games, yes. We love Guardian games.
So much.
I do. Rolling in the Deep. Now, the first thing I noticed on this, I think, as soon as it came out, it's like I took a little picture. If you don't know what we're talking about, in the TWAB, they've got the cover art for Season of the Deep, which is our new season coming in 2.5 weeks now. Hints at a returning character coming back in a way that we...
Two returning characters.
Well, two returning characters. And what I find quite funny is that people are saying, you know, that character's looking out on us with another character behind. But what happens if we're looking in on that character? We're the ones looking at that character who's locked away somewhere, either for their own self-preservation or because they're too dangerous to be let out. And
well, they are taken, which is another question in itself. Why are they taken?
Are they taken, or are they just enhanced?
That's taking smoke and taking colors, dude. So
it's smoking something, I tell you.
Nah, bro. But you also get a good look at the armor that we have coming up, which
I want to be Nemo.
Well, this all looks ugly. Every one of them. The Warlock is the least ugly, and it's still pretty ugly, right? So, Hunters are trying to be a butterfly with heart-shaped wings. Titans are just... Well, they kind of look like mollusks or mussels, depending on how you call them, right?
Yeah.
So, Titans got the mollusk look going on. And then you have the flowy, jellyfish-looking freaking Warlock. You know? It's just dumb. But what I really like is they're insinuating we finally get to see the Titan Leviathan. Right?
Yeah,
So
and don't be confused with the Leviathan as Callus's ship or the Leviathan from the Fundament. This is a sea monstering Leviathan. It's also called
for
Leviathan.
those of you that were here, or for those of you that weren't here before Titan went away, we used to have a game space called Titan, and it was the moon, Jupiter's moon, or Jupiter's moon, Titan, right?
Mhm.
And we would go there, and there was this liquid. It wasn't water, but it was a liquid all over the place, right? And the waves of this liquid going up and down is how they generated electricity for the city. But if you stare out into the water long enough, you see the back of a leviathan come in and out of the water twice, right? And we would all like try to shoot it and try to jump down to it and throw grenades at it
Not
or
all of
whatnot.
us.
Because well, not always, but like how do you activate the leviathan? For a long time, people thought it was a secret boss, but no, it wasn't. It was just an image,
Well, it was a secret boss.
or
It just took
was it?
No, it just took Bungie about 2 years to actually build it into a secret boss once we saw it.
There you go.
Or
They took away Titan and then gave us a Titan season.
I watched a video by Mylan Games, which I will link in the show notes because he has promoted it a couple of times on the DCP podcast, and he was talking about it this week. And I think they were talking again about whether it's that person being locked away from us because of what they've done, and we are working with the sea monster, as it were, or are we working with the other person against the thing that is now behind us, the sea monster? And I'm inclined to think that maybe both of these are kind of integral to the story, because what have we got coming next season that we have every 2 seasons? A dungeon. What happens if the dungeon is kind of underwater and we have to fight that thing as the kind of dungeon boss? Because let's face it, at the end of the day, we need something big to fight in a dungeon. Why not like a Leviathan? Let's just fight the sea monster. Let's go
So,
hell for leather.
did you say that we would be in the water? Did I hear that right?
Well, that's what I'm hoping, is that because we're on Titan, and hopefully, touch wood, the dungeon is on Titan. Again, we're all kind of surmising we'll be on Titan. It's pretty kind of clear from like the way that the lore has kind of been pointed, because I think the Vexcalibur, wasn't it? It was the item that we got this season that had a lore tab that said that I think it was because Myelin Games was saying about this. If I can find the lore tab on here.
You said this Winterbite. Scratch says Winterbite.
Was it Winterbite? I thought maybe it's Winterbite then. I knew it was a glaive. I'm sorry, Scratch. Yeah, Myelin was saying that the lore that's tied to the Winterbite has hinted at the return of Titan and the Leviathan, and in somewhere in one of the lore tabs that he was talking about is that it says that an enemy of the Witness is on Titan. So who's the enemy of the Witness? Is it the Leviathan or is it the other character in the picture?
I thought it was Cloud Riders. Oh, on Titan, you mean?
Yeah, it says
yeah, they had Cloud Riders, but
I mean, if you think about it, the Leviathan was in the Fundament was an enemy of the darkness. So this could be one of those Leviathans. So it could be a good Leviathan. We've always thought it was a bad thing, but it could be a good thing.
But yeah, really good view. I like the aspect. I wish we weren't in it. I wish it was just Sloane and the Leviathan. That'd be really cool, but we're in there for a reason, I guess.
They can't have to show us potentially cosplay as, you want to be jellyfish or just
mermaid.
Yeah.
The heart on the hunter's back is so stupid.
Look, you're going to love it, and you're going to say it's fantastic.
No.
And let's face it, it's only going to be one of a potential 2 or 3 new armor sets, because you get the one from kind of doing the seasonal activity, and then you get the one that's on the season pass, which is the ornament version as well.
And whatever new raid or dungeon comes, yeah.
Exactly. Dungeon. No, it's dungeon next time. Dungeon.
Yeah, but it's a raid or a dungeon.
No, it's a dungeon. Why are you saying raid?
It's a dungeon. Okay, it's a dungeon.
It's a dungeon. We had the raid this season, didn't we? So next season it's a dungeon, and then the season after that, Wrath of the Machine comes back. Not confirmed. but it's coming back.
But not confirmed.
But not confirmed. Would you like to tell us about what strands aspects we will be getting?
I'm glad you're asking, because I couldn't stand waiting any longer to talk about 3 new aspects. Hey, Guardians! Combat gameplay team here to spill the tea on 3 new strand aspects that will become available in Season 21. Our goal with these aspects is to strengthen the existing strand kits and expand the gameplay options of each class. You'll be able to acquire these aspects as a part of a new pursuit after visiting the Puka Pond in Neuromuna's Hall of Heroes. Let's get into it. Hunter Aspect, Threaded Spectre. Activate your class ability to leave behind a decoy woven from strand matter that draws the attention of nearby combatants. After taking significant damage, or when combatants approach, the decoy detonates, dealing damage and releasing threadlings that seek out and attack nearby foes. What? Pesky Cabal Gunfire, have you pinned down? Need a quick distraction so you can revive a teammate? Have you ever thought about what a bunch of threadlings in a trench coat look like? The new Threaded Spectre aspect for the Hunter Threadrunner might just be what you're looking for. When players activate their dodge, they leave behind a decoy woven from strand matter that draws the attention of enemies on the battlefield. Enemies will shoot at the Threaded Spectre until it's destroyed or expires, giving the Hunter and their fire team long enough to get to safety. When destroyed, a Threaded Spectre explodes into 2 threadling. That's it? Threaded Spectre gives Hunter players access to threadling generation and a way to control the battlefield. Okay, I get it's a way to generate threadlings, but 2? What?
You better be controlling the whole of that battlefield with your 2.
I mean, that's what they made it sound like, didn't they? Right? I'm thinking we're gonna get like 4, or 3 when a warlock pops a what do you call that? Not a well, a freaking biscuits. A rift. Like when they pop a rift or whatever, they get some. When they eat a grenade, they get some more. Like, but 2? Really? I mean, unless they like multi-detonate, this one can blow up on like 4 different people. I just 2? Whatever.
Now, before you read the next one, right? Have in your mind how you played as a Titan when you had to play as a Titan with the solar aspect, and now read that
with the solar aspect. Okay, all right.
I meant read it out loud.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out last one. Oh, Flechette Storm. Okay. While sliding, activate your charged melee to leap into the air, knocking nearby targets away and dealing damage. While airborne, activate your charged melee again to launch a cluster of damaging, unraveling projectiles. Repeatedly activating melee will chain additional throws. What?
So you know the solar aspect that you can do?
Yeah, the wall, the firewall. Yeah, but like
down and up and down.
Yeah, this you just go up and you freaking stay. You cosplaying as a warlock.
No, but it sounds like they've copied and pasted and gone, what could we do for the Titans? We've run out of things. Let's copy and paste that and add threadlings and unraveling stuff in there.
But it's better than that because you're not coming back down. You're going up and you're staying up.
I'm not going to keep going up, am I? I've got to come down at some point.
Yeah, but as long as you're in the air, you're spitting out walls and walls of freaking
how
missiles.
How long is that going to last for, to be honest?
I don't know, man, but it sounds ridiculous. Especially if you jump in the air first. Can you do it if you're already airborne? Oh my god!
You've got to slide. You've got to do that silly thing where you slide and then jump.
Yeah, but like if you slid and then jumped off like a ledge or a step,
there's 2 buttons to do that.
Depending on where you jump from, that could be a long time in the air, bud. Woo!
No, but you've got to slide first. You're forgetting.
Yeah, but you can slide jump off of a ledge or off of a step.
You
or
can,
off
but I
something.
can't.
Get out of here. All right, Berserker Titans are known for their unbridled aggression. While sprinting headfirst into battle is often the best way to deploy Berserker abilities, we want to provide players with a tool that allows for more potency at range and gives Titans easier ways to unravel enemies. This is where Flechette Storm comes into play. Okay. While Flechette Storm, Berserkers have access to a powerful new slide melee attack that quickly launches them up into the air and blasts away any nearby enemies. While still airborne, press the melee button again for a cluster of tracking projectiles that do heavy damage and unravel enemies. Flechette Storm provides the Berserker with a ranged melee option with the spirit of their fast-paced gameplay. Blah. Okay. Where we at?
The Wanderer.
The Wanderer. Ooh, that even sounds mysterious. Warlock aspect of the Wanderer. Tangles you throw attached to enemies. Okay, so they don't detonate. And detonate. Okay, so they do detonate. So, I mean, what? Do they not normally? I don't know. Tangles you throw at enemies detonate into a suspending burst. Threadling final blows create a tangle. Okay. Since the Warlock Broodweaver is a Strand Minion master, it felt natural to explore additional ways the Broodweaver might weave life into the world around them. Enter the Wanderer, a sentient tangle woven from Broodweaver brilliance. What the fluff? Sentient.
So is this
Warlock,
like old gods kind of
I don't
thing?
know. When Warlocks equipped with this aspect pick up a tangle, so you have to pick up a tangle, they weave the tangle into the Wanderer. When thrown, so they carry this, whatever it is, the Wanderer travels through the air seeking targets. Okay. Once it finds a target, it soars towards them, latches on, and then explodes into a suspending detonation that deals damage and suspends any nearby enemies. To round out the gameplay loop, the Wanderer also enables threading final blows from any source to generate a tangle. That's gonna turn around a freaking an Osiris match real quick. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not even a super. That's just a wow. The Wanderer gives Broodweavers another way to upgrade their tangles and grants access to the suspend effect without needing a shackle grenade. We're pretty excited to get these new strand aspects in the game, and we hope you enjoy them when Season 21 launches. We'll be monitoring their performance across the game, and we'll continue to bounce them over time. That Warlock one sounds stupid strong, dude. What? You just pick up a tangle, and you got like 9,000 ways to generate a tangle. And when you do, you throw it. It legit becomes sentient, right? They even use the word sentient, and finds a target to kill said target, and damage and string up anyone who's left.
Yeah.
That is stasis level of shenanigans right there.
It is. They're playing favourites with their warlocks.
I guess so, man. I guess a lot of these new employees maybe are warlocks. Good.
Maybe they are. Maybe they employed all warlocks.
Maybe.
Maybe that's why that message appeared at the beginning of the game. They're already preparing for their wins.
Well, they are indeed. Didn't the Titans win the first couple of days?
Yeah, I think they're still winning, but
Yep.
I'm not there.
Yeah, but no, it's definitely going to be warlocks, 100%.
But let's talk about economy changes, in-game economy changes, shall we?
Yes, let's do.
For the first time, we will not be increasing the power cap band in Destiny 2 in Season 21.
Thank God they kept their word. Nice.
So the power floor is 1600, your soft cap is 1750, your powerful cap is 1800, and the pinnacle cap is 1810. And that will not change over the course of Season 21. So we may have an increase in Season 22, but I guess it depends on how well we kind of cope with this going forward in this next season. And with that brings exotic armor focusing and decryption. So they did touch on this in the past, but it's worth repeating and recapping the exotic armor focusing and decryption coming to Rahul at the start of Season 21. So focusing options. Your standard decryption allows players to decrypt engrams for free. Players receive a random drop from the standard exotic engram loot pools at no additional cost. But we have exotic focusing tier 1. You can focus an engram to receive a random roll of an exotic from and the associated expansion. So we have Red War, and that's the helmets, arms, chest, legs, and Forsaken armor. Again, any Forsaken armor. We have Shadowkeep, exotic armor, Beyond Light exotic armor, and Witch Queen exotic armor. And Lightfall exotic armor focusing will be coming in a future season. So anything up to Lightfall, basically. So if you haven't got it in Lightfall, you are going to have to go to kind of the Vex incursions or the Lost Sectors to kind of get those. Or complete the campaign. So it requires the ownership of the associated expansion, as well as having a previously acquired all armor pieces within the engram for your class. So yeah, you're going to have to, if you want an exotic that you're missing, you're going to need to pay out for the expansion to get it to be able to to focus it. Bungie, I'm not sure about this one. It will cost you 1 exotic engram, 30,000 glimmer, and 1 ascendant shard. But there is a
that
tier
one
2.
exotic engram is gonna be a problem.
No, because the exotic engrams are now going to be dropping more frequently as exotic engrams rather than it decrypts automatically. It's only going to be if you're doing, I think didn't they say it was the Vex incursion and like Lost Sectors where it is a specific engram for that day? Those will be specific engrams, but anything in the world or anything that you kind of, just anything random that drops will be an exotic engram that you can then take to focus.
It's still expensive, but yeah.
Well, it's expensive if you don't already own the expansions. I mean, Red War you can't really kind of do much about, but Forsaken they still charge for Forsaken. They still charge for Shadowkeep and Beyond Light and Witch Queen, and Lightfall obviously, but that's not coming. And then exotic focusing tier 2, you can focus a specific exotic armor for a high cost. It requires of the associated expansion, as well as having previously acquired that piece of armor. So you can't just roll up there and go, hey, I'm missing legs from like Beyond Light, and I'm just going to go and throw this at you. You also have already had to have had it drop somewhere in the game. You could have dismantled it. As long as it's showing up in your collections that you've already had it at some point, you can then take an exotic engram, 60,000 glimmer, 3 ascendant shards, and 1 exotic cipher to get it decrypted into a specific high armor piece. And they've also taken a pass at the exotic armor stat packages, so your exotics should roll consistently at higher stats with a more frequently individual spikes starting in season 21. So you can expect an average stat to be in the mid 60s, which is a win. That's what we've wanted for quite some time. You get an exotic, it should be in the mid 60s. It shouldn't be anything below 63, I guess, or even 62. You don't want anything like that. And lastly, since they're not raising the pinnacle gap in season 21, that need for many pinnacle legendary rewards has dropped significantly. To help make playing in our evergreen rituals playlist more worthwhile, we're changing the rewards for the basic completion activity challenges to be focused for powerful exotic engrams. This gives most players 3 to 9 free achievable deterministic weekly exotic engrams ready for focusing. There you go. So some of the powerful and pinnacle ones will be changed to exotic engrams that you can then take to be focused. So this means that you'll be losing some pinnacle drops. So reaching the pinnacle cap will be a bit slower for everyone if you already haven't got there this season. They're hoping that the need for less pinnacle drops continues in the future seasons, but we'll be looking at feedback and analytics and are ready to adjust as necessary. So other sources of focusing exotic engrams, random world drops, season pass paid and free tracks, 6 paid, 2 free per season, vendor reputation tracks, 1 for each reset after kind of initially ranking up. And there you go. So you're going to be swimming in exotic engrams, which has kind of made exotic engrams a bit kind of redundant. Because I remember like Destiny 1, it was really exciting to get an exotic engram. It really felt meaningful. And when we had like a way of focusing them with Xur when he came at the weekends. We had was it glass needles that you could use to then re-roll the exotic armor to then see if you can get a different stat distribution. which I think was quite a good thing. And sometimes the stats went up, sometimes they went down. It was a kind of roll of the dice. It was good fun.
Exactly, roll of the dice.
But getting an exotic to drop at the end of an activity, or in a raid or a dungeon, or a raid really, was so exciting because you just didn't know. Exotics weren't as free flowing as they are now. There weren't that many kind of ways to get it. I mean, I think it was ridiculous amount of percentage that you could get, apart from like if you're going for the exotics in the actual specific raids, but just in the in the world drops, it was very few and far between. Now, if you don't log in for a good couple of weeks and you come back to the game, they throw about 3 exotics on the floor at you, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll take these." It's like, so there's not much meaning in it now, but it's going to make a difference for people that want to try and focus actually getting different stat distributions and the way they kind of do it in going forward. So I suppose that's quite good. So we're also deep sight activation and crafting economy changes. So in Season 21, we will be adding the ability to electively activate deep sight on weapon instances to obtain pattern progress. So this capability will be accessible through a new mod slot in the weapons detail screen for eligible weapons. To perform a deep sight activation on a weapon, you need a deep sight harmonizer currency. So non-raid weapons will cost 1 harmonizer, while raid weapons will require 15 spoils of conquest in addition to 1 harmonizer cost. So the deep sight harmonizer currency can be obtained from the seasonal pass rank rewards, 3 in the free track and another 3 in the pay track. This will be the sole source of the currency for the initial rollout of this feature. Additionally, only 1 harmonizer can be stored in the inventory at a time. This currency does not stack, so you're going to have to leave it on the track until you kind of use it. Not all weapon instances will be compatible with deep sight activation. You'll be prevented from activating deep sight for a weapon that has already had its pattern unlocked. Weapons that previously had deep sight will be ineligible. You cannot activate deep sight on a weapon instance which has originally been acquired with deep sight, nor can you activate deep sight multiple times on a single weapon instance. Weapon instances purchased from the raid vendor will be ineligible. However, weapons purchased from Xur and the gunsmith will support the deep sight activation. Whew, that's a lot of information there. So there's a lot of ifs, ors, and buts that some of them I can understand, but yeah, it's if you're missing out on some of the deep sight weapons that you couldn't get in other seasons, or you kind of just missed 1 or 2, this may be your chance to kind of catch up and do that. But yeah, it's one of those things that if the weapon takes 5 deep sights to actually unlock to then be able to craft it, you're only going to be able to do 1 next season if you've got like no activations on that deep sight. And purchasing it from the gunsmith will be fine. Like I think he has the glaive every now and then that was available last season. So if you purchase that 5 times, 5 different versions of it, and add the deep sight currency to it, you'll then be able to unlock it to then craft it. But if these vendors don't have it and you don't get it as a kind of just random drop in the world, you can't just kind of go and repurchase it from, like they said in the raid, you can't just kind of purchase it from the chests there. It has to be a random drop from those chests. You can then add the deep sight to it to then, yeah, I can see why this is kind of a beta test for the next season. Are you looking forward to this? Is there anything that you kind of missed out on your crafting?
Not really. I just craft them as I need them. I've come across some currency issues, but
yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
So, as you're talking about crafting costs, this will also see a change in Season 21. Legendary shard costs will be removed from all crafted components. Glimmer and enhancement costs will remain untouched. Enhanced weapon costs are based on weapon masterwork costs, and thus will still require legendary shards, as we are not yet modifying the weapon masterwork economy in Season 21. And they're doing some quality of life updates with the raids and dungeons. Did you know this? So over the last year, raids and dungeons, they've kind of had triumphs that have been tied to them. And once you've completed those triumphs, that gives you a kind of boost to the exotic that's available in those specific locations. So for was it Root of Nightmares? If you complete all the challenges, it gives you like a percentage for doing each challenge to get the exotic drop from the boss at the end. a higher chance. So every kind of challenge that you complete or triumph that you complete, it gives you an extra percentage. So what they've gone and done is they've gone back to the old dungeons and raids, and they've added points to the triumph list. So if you already have completed like the Last Wish ones, and you haven't got your 1,000 voices, the triumph that I'll give you an example, Petra's Run, will give you a +3 in a rate boost. The new meta will give you +2. Thunderstruck will give you 1. Sunburn 1. Night Owl 1. Habitual Wisher +1. And it's like they've done this for every kind of Deep Stone Crypt they've done as well. So if you haven't got the Eyes of Tomorrow, they've redone that. Bow the Disciple, they've done for the Collective Obligation, they've given you kind of another +3, 2, and 1, depending on which other triumph it is. So they've gone back and kind of touched those to kind of make it a bit easier for you to get a drop at the end. Although, if the featured raid is up for that week, you can just farm the final boss for a chance at X, Y, or Z. So, for example, next week is, I think it's Vow the Disciple. So it's Collective Obligation, which is the Pulse Rifle, which is available from the last boss, that you can just play over and over again. But you do get more of a chance if you've already completed these triumphs. Going next season, you'll get more of a percentage going in as and when it'll drop easier, I guess, from the bosses at the end, is what they're kind of trying to say. Finest Matterweave and Rainmaker depreciation. They've decided, after going through our vaults and seeing that we've got way too many of these Finest Matterweaves and Rainmakers, that it's time to say goodbye to them. So starting in Season 21, these items will no longer drop from any source in the game. And you can't use them. They said, no, you cannot use them, but all existing instances of Finest Matterweave can be dismantled for 1 enhancement core each, and all existence of Rainmakers can be dismantled for 3,000 glimmer each. So you can keep those, store them up for when you need glimmer, and I'm just going to get rid of all my Matterweaves because I might as well for the enhancement cores because I kind of use them quite a lot. Or you could keep them and store them up as well. You do you. They're also changing the Vanguard bounties. So daily bounties, existing daily bounties require you to get specific types of kills. So grenades, headshots, or any special or heavy weapons. They now require twice as many kills to complete, but can be done anywhere in the game, which is quite nice, with the increased progress in Vanguard Ops or Nightfalls. Because I do that every now and then. I go and pick them up, and then I do like my 3 strikes, and I haven't kind of completed them. I just go off and do other things. So it's nice that they kind of a bit like the vendors that we have for like the helm. So it's like the vendor on the helm, that it says you can go and do the seasonal activity, or you can just play the game. It'll take longer by just playing the game and getting the kills, like with the pulse rifle, or you can go and play the battleground stuff and it'll progress faster. So I like this change with the Vanguard bounties, that you can kind of do that and it will progress faster if you do it in the Vanguard Ops or Nightfalls, but you can do it anywhere, which is quite nice. They're also adding a number of new bounties. So killing elites, mini-bosses and champions, kills with elemental abilities, bonus for killing with subclass verbs, complete 2 Vanguard activities. That's cool. Regarding repeatable bounties, all enemy type kill bounties, Hive, Vex, Taken, Cabal, Fallen and Scorn, have significantly increased requirements, but can be advanced by killing any combatant in any Vanguard activity, with significantly increased progress for killing the correct type of combatant. Cool. And I'm completely confused about Good Boy Protocol. So Archie is returning in Season 21? Is this the robot dog that we got?
Yeah.
Okay. That's who I thought it was. Apparently, now that they found him a permanent home in the tower, they're reintroducing the Good Boy Protocol stat tracker and moving it to the account careers category. Your previous progress from Season 19 will also carry over. So yeah. And here's a sneaky little one they put in there for you that was kind of glossed over, but we're going to highlight it. Bungie are basically saying that they're increasing the costs of seasonal passes if you buy a la carte because of things. So they're going to give us a heads up now that they're increasing the season pass from 1,000 silver to 1,200 silver, and season pass plus 10 rank bundle from 2,000 silver to 2,200. And this will be the new pricing for the season passes in Lightfall's years. For those looking to maximize their rewards for each season, they'll be evaluating new approaches to post-launch content in the year of the final shape. So if you didn't buy Lightfall and the seasons with the dungeon keys and things now, and say you're a young kid and you can only afford to get like each season as it comes up from your mum and dad from doing like chores or whatever, it's now increased in price. So it's now gone from 1,000 silver to 1,200, and the season pass 10 rank bundle going from 2,000 up to 2,200, and that's their new price going forward. So pricing will remain unchanged for Lightfall Standard Edition, which includes access to all the current live seasons at the time of purchase, and Lightfall Annual Pass Edition, which includes access to seasons 20 to 23. So they're not changing that if you kind of buy that. It's only if you can't afford to buy all of that and you're buying it piecemeal.
Piece by piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is fair, because it's only, as we said when Eververse kind of came into the game, it's only a sign of the times to come that this is going to be the way forward, that the pricing of things are going to go up. Now, I've not got a problem with paying for, say, the final shape up front and getting all of the content, and I'm not worried, if they want to increase the price for that because of the work and effort they're putting into it. But doing this now doesn't seem fair to those people that kind of can only afford I know it's only like 200 silver for each thing, but that little bit of an increase I don't think is fair, seeing as if you're being penalized for not being able to afford to buy the whole thing all in one go.
I mean, like I said, it's only $12, $12 to $22, right? So it used to be $30. If you needed to buy an expansion, to me it seems like they've gone down in price, man. If it went from being $30 to, 12 or 22, it's still really good,
Yeah, but I'm saying like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, all right then.
Yeah.
So, Trials, these rewards are in the flawless and weapon changes on the way. I'm sorry, these rewards are flawless, not are in flawless. My apologies.
Well, they are in flawless. They are flawless rewards.
And Season 21 will be here before you and I know it. And luckily for Trials fans, this means new rewards to earn are just around the corner. Next season, Guardians will have a chance to unlock new exotic cosmetics, rewards, when opening the Lighthouse Rewards chest. You can get the Hero's Wake exotic shell, so you're a beetle. You're an Egyptian beetle. Pretty cool. You get the Survivor's Journey exotic sparrow, and you get the Valiant Memory exotic ship. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You also get the Glorious Patina, which is a golden shader.
Looks very nice.
This shader, and any shaders released in the future for Trials of Osiris, will be permanently unlocked once acquired. Transmog to your heart's content. This beauty can be applied to any piece of equipment. Just as a heads up, Glorious Patina will only be available to players who go flawless during Season 21. Future seasons will see the return of older trial shaders that were previously exclusive to adept weapons as rewards for completing the first seasonal flawless ticket. They will now be fully accessible and usable on your rewards gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have some returning weapons for Season 21. We have the Messenger, which is a high-impact kinetic pulse rifle. And we have a glaive, the Unexpected Resurgence. It's an adaptive glaive. Are you happy about that? Would you go and get this glaive? This is a glaive for you.
I'd have to see the perks. Nah, probably not.
The adept version of the Unexpected Resurgence will be first available on the weekend of June 9th, while the adept version of the Messenger will be available on the weekend of June 16th. The following weapons will be removed from the standard loot pool in Season 21. So they'll be gone before they get to Season 21. The Inquisitor Shotgun and the Whistler's Wind Bow.
Where we at?
We are at Let's Talk About Labs. Let's talk about Labs,
the
baby.
first sentence?
Yeah.
Let's talk about labs, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things that blah 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 blah. I forgot the words. Okay. Let's talk about labs. In week 8, we ran a Trials Labs to test a new style of matchmaking for Trials of Osiris. Overall, the new system worked as mostly intended, but we did discover an issue with the lobby balancer, which was causing high-skill solo players to often feel like matches were stacked against them. For some background, since we moved to using ticket-based matchmaking years ago, we have not been tracking skills, and trials have not been utilizing any sort of skill-based lobby balancing either.
Ouch.
The new matching system allows us to match based on card state and track skill, which we were planning to use for analytics purposes. Preemptively, we believed we had disabled the skill-based lobby matchmaking, as the intent of the new system was to maintain the randomized nature of the lobbies present in previous iterations of trials. Unfreaking fortunate. This turned out not to be the case. And the previously latent lobby balancer came back online as soon as players' skill values started to solidify over the weekend. We were able to identify this issue through player reports in a timely manner, and we have implemented a fix for Season 21, which will overwrite everyone in the Challenger Pool skill with the same value, effectively randomizing the lobby balancing for all players pursuing flawless. This fix will not be present until week 11 labs starting in Season 20, but we will continue to monitor player feedback on the new system to make sure everything else is working as intended. A second issue that came to our attention with the Week 8 labs was that we did not communicate properly that starting Sunday at reset, players who had already been flawless could still farm adept rewards on any 7-win card, even flawed ones. Just like they could win the flawless pool was active. Okay. For Week 11 labs, we will be activating this feature starting as soon as Trials goes live on Friday. What this means is that once you go flawless, you can continue to play on that same 7-win card for the rest of the weekend, even if it's flawed. And any wins count as a chance to grant you the adept weapon for that week.
Nice.
Wow. So once you kind of complete it, you just kind of keep it out like a burning cigarette. You know you complete it, but then you gotta keep that thing lit and going well the whole time. Wow, that's kind of cool. So if I have a card, right, but all 7 slots are full.
No, but
right?
you have to go flawless first.
Okay, you go flawless, but even on a flawed card after you've gone flawless,
you've got a chance at adept weapons for that week.
Every time you win.
I say week, but weekend, yeah.
What?
I know. How cool is that? We're never going to get there, but that sounds cool.
Oh, come on, man. I had hope for a second.
But there is hope because, these trials carry people that we have in our clan. It says, because they've removed the ticket-based matchmaking, if you want to help a friend get to the lighthouse after you've already been, you do not need to retake your card.
Oh, that's true.
As the number of wins on it no longer influences the difficulty of the matches you will face. And they believe this will make getting flawless feel significantly more rewarding and should help alleviate the friction between farming adepts and helping other players go flawless. So you can tap up as many people as you want this weekend. There you go. I see T-Rex there volunteering to get you in his backpack.
Yeah, him carry me.
Overall, the 2 soft pool system worked well. That's good because we like that. Blending as needed to ensure connection quality stayed high and matchmaking times were fast. And the farming and stomping protection features both also functioned as designed in the practice pool. For the labs, we set the farming protection value aggressively, both to make sure that they worked and to make sure that if anyone was attempting to farm, we would be able to catch them quickly before they could potentially cause issues.
And farming is what, going AFK? You can't go AFK.
No.
Go to space after 5 minutes.
Farming the kills to get the wins in the practice pool.
Oh, I see.
You remember they had a practice pool and a non-practicing pool. So as stated, the intent of the system is to prevent nefarious people from attempting to abuse the practice pool, not to prevent normal players from engaging with it if they choose to do so. We believe we have captured the data we need to make accurate assessments, so we will be tuning the values for Season 21 to make it far less likely that any standard players get caught up in the farming protection. We estimate this less than 1% of the trial's population will even be eligible to trigger it moving forward, compared to approximately 5% during the first week of labs. This should allow the performance-based matchmaking used in the practice pool to provide a high-quality experience for all players who choose to participate. And then they say, anyway, enough about that. Let's talk more trials.
What's changing in Season 21 for trials?
Well, we're getting Dominion. And when I was listening to the Last Word podcast,
Dominion's capture the flag, right?
They were really confused. They were like, we've never heard the word Dominion used with trials. So it's obviously another way that they're saying that it's capture the flag. It's the capture the flag variant that we've had in Trials of Osiris Labs when we've had capture the flag or capture the point after. You can either kill people or capture the flag, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
But how do you get into it?
The capture the flag one. The capture the flag one's always been my favorite. What?
There's a Trials quest. A Trials of Osiris intro quest.
What?
Yeah. But I guess if you've already done it.
Oh, there is an introductory quest. Oh, no. We want to make Trials introductory quests more of an actual introduction to the Trials and less of a time-consuming thing before you can play Trials. Oh, my God! In Season 20, new players are currently asked to get 50 Crucible kills, raise their power level, and reset their Valor rank once. The last step is asking a lot and serves... Yeah. And serves more as a barrier for the entry for the mode than we'd like. In addition to not really preparing a player for the type of experience Trials... Yeah, no kidding, right? New players are also not given a real reward for completing the quest outside of Trials access, which can feel bad given the time commitment required to complete it. Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
As such, we've made the following changes to the introductory quest for Trials. Step 1. Complete your competitive placement matches. So that's like your first 5 matches, I think, right? Helps the players introduce the 3v3 and revive game modes in an environment where they'll be matched against similarly skilled opponents.
Good.
Step 1, Part 2. Get 50 kills in competitive.
Fine.
Step 1, Part 3. Raise your power level.
To what? What do you want me to raise my power level to? I could raise it up by 1 power level.
Right. Step 2, Part 1. Pick up a Trials passage. Step 2, Part 2. Play a game of Trials. Okay, so we're already into the games.
Yeah.
Step 2, Part 3. Win 1 round of Trials. And Step 2, Part 4. Get 1 elimination in Trials.
Oh, that might be hard. I might struggle to get 1 kill.
Yeah.
Get an Astral Horizon for just doing that quest. That's a shotgun, by the way. A Trials one. That's cool.
Still?
Yeah. And don't forget the Trials passages are changing in Season 21.
Wow.
So, Passage of Wealth, previously granted an increased reputation on 3, 5, and 7 on a card. This is at odds with the system that we want you to continue playing on after a 7-win card and get the most efficient progress and best rewards. So in Season 21, this passage will grant plus 75 Trials rep for every win, along with the additional bonus for your current major rank in Trials, up to plus 150 in total. This encourages players to stay on the same card and take advantage of the system granting more reputation for wins in later cards. Passage of Mercy. In Season 21, this passage will forgive 2 losses if you have not yet been flawless.
That was crazy. That's actually crazy.
Mm-hmm. After
getting
going
2
flawless,
losses instead of 1?
Yeah, but that's only if you haven't gone flawless. After going flawless, if you reset your card, it will give you 1 loss on each card. So it's only for the first one for each week. It'll give you the 2 losses. If you manage to go flawless, if you reset your card, it'll then revert to giving you 1 single loss on each card. I can see that there's going to be a bug with that already, but let's go with it, Bungie.
What kind of bug you see?
No, but you know there's going to be a bug with that. This will give all players a better chance of going flawless for the first time each week, and for those players who can go flawless without using both mercies, it will give them an additional opportunity to play for an extra rewards while the first card remains flawless. So Dominion is the new game mode, or the core game mode for Trials in Season 21. This is not a change that they are making lightly, but after several seasons of testing in Trials labs and analysing both positive and negatives, they believe this shift is in the best interest of Trials as a whole for several reasons. Here are the reasons. 1. Offering a choice between playing elimination and playing an objective. Offering an objective for players to focus on outside of kills and can allow more types of players contribute to winning. Basically, they want to see more Bubble Titans and, well, Warlocks. On average, games are 15% faster than standard elimination games. Okay. The prevailing strategy for most elimination games has developed over the years to focus on passive play, waiting on someone to make a mistake and get picked, or just simply waiting for the zone to come up at the end of the round anyways. By spawning the zones earlier, it creates pressure for the players to engage the fight early in the rounds and puts extreme passivity at a disadvantage. Objectives promote more varied engagement on maps as the zones direct players around the map and establish multiple defined fronts. So this is the one where the point changes for each round. And I'm not sure about this one, because this is the one that sometimes that the spawn would be literally outside wherever you are. And sometimes it would be near your opponents. And yeah, we'll see how it kind of goes.
And there's lots of times where you spawn in the sight line of a sniper.
No, not for the initial opening of the match.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. Most engagements in standard elimination happen at a single central location, generally centered around where the overall overtime zone will spawn. Having multiple zones allows for different permutations of rounds based on teams and zone spawn locations, which makes gameplay less static and pushes players to experience different engagement areas on each map. It promotes a healthier sandbox variety in both weapons and subclasses. On weekends where we run Dominion, we see less consolidation around general strongest elements in the sandbox, and success is spread out amongst more weapons and subclass types. Okay.
Good reason. I'll give them that.
Yeah. We have been hesitant to balance parts of the sandbox around a game mode that only rotates into Trials on occasion, but moving into it as the core mode will allow us to better focus it on a sandbox and address outliers in effectiveness that do exist. Provide us with more balanced levers to change the gameplay experience. If a map plays poorly in standard elimination, there is little we can do to alter it. With Dominion, we have a large number of levers that we can use to modify how maps play to provide the most balanced experience possible. For example, in Season 21, we will be changing the initial player spawn zone locations on Burnout based on feedback from the first Season 20 Trials labs. Teams will no longer spawn at Hall inside and East Yard outside. Now both teams spawn between Tumbler and Yard on the east and west sides, and the zones will run down the centre of the map, Middle Yard, Centre and Altar. They're all words, they're all places on a map. I'm not 100% sure where they are because I haven't got that memorised, but I know they're on those maps, so they're there.
Honestly, I wasn't even sure all those words were maps.
Yeah. Having multiple zones means we can change the maps to more quickly address concerns about flow and balance, allowing us to better manage asymmetric maps. So Gilded Flawless. We want to make some changes to Gilded Flawless to better align it with the difficulty of gilding the glorious title, and to focus more on rewarding players for their dedication and individual team skill in the game mode. The Gilded Flawless requirement in Season 20s were as follows. It doesn't matter, but they were there. Get 180 kills, collect 100 rewards, 100 rewards, go Flawless with one of the seasonal exotic weapons equipped, carry 2 players to Flawless, win 7 games on a 7-win ticket, and that's it, you've got your Gilded Flawless. But in Season 21, the requirements will change to get 500 kills, earn 16 Trials ranks, reset Trials reputation at least once basically, go Flawless and get 50 kills with one of the seasonal exotic weapons equipped. You do not need to get 50 kills with the weapon itself, you just need to have it equipped while you get 50 kills. Skill of 1, while on a ticket with 0 losses, with the Light for Lost emblem equipped. Win 20 games, acquire the following medals. Double Kill, which is rapidly eliminate 2 opponents, 10 times. Skullbreaker, deal the most total damage to opponents in a match, 5 times. The Beginning, land the first elimination of a match, 5 times. Strength of Many, while on a ticket with 0 losses, with the Flawless Empyrean emblem equipped, win 20 games, acquire the following medals. Flight of the Pigeon, which is win a match in which your team never trails, 10 times. Paradoxically Perfect, as a team win rounds in which each player eliminates a different opponent and no opponent is revived. Got to do that 10 times. And Time Trials, as a team win a round within 20 seconds, and you've got to do that 5 times.
Wow.
That is a lot of requirements to gild your title. But I could see that as somebody that likes to do flawless stuff, just eat that all up and go, yeah.
Win within 20 seconds?
Yeah.
5 times?
But it's not back to back to back. You could do this over several weekends.
Wow.
And we're not finished talking about trials. There's more trials. For this new iteration of trials, we wanted to provide a specific deterministic reward to allow players to prove their skill above and beyond simply going flawless. This emblem will be rewarded to players when they open their flawless chest at the lighthouse if they did not trail during any of their wins on their flawless run, meaning you must get a Flight of the Pigeon medal for every win. Highly skilled players may be able to achieve this feat on their first lighthouse run, but for others it may be a significantly more challenging achievement, and we hope that the emblem will be something players are proud to show off that they have earned. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. It looks like a trials emblem.
I'd never know that that's what that was for. Never in 100 years.
No. Looks a cross between the Scarab emblem that you got in Destiny 1 and
a Millennium Falcon.
Trials. Yeah, it's a Millennium Falcon. We're nearly there. We're nearly finished talking about trials here. And if you know about it, you know about it. Rusted Lands won with 41%. Sorry, Peroty. You and your disjunction voting didn't get there. So if you're playing this weekend, you already know that you're in Rusted Lands. If you're not playing this weekend and you missed it completely, it's Rusted Lands.
By the way,
yes,
it's Rusted Lands.
What have I said it was?
No. I was making a play on how many times you had to say Rusted Lands.
Okay. I thought I'd said something completely wrong then.
Oh.
So do you want some free priming gear? Because I do.
I always want free stuff. Oh my god.
Oh. Well, now's the time to grab some freebies because it's that time again. Time for players with Prime Gaming to snag some free gear with the new Destiny 2 bundle that's up for grabs. And here is what you can get for Maze Drops. You can get the Hit the Bag exotic emote, which is basically punching gloves and a punch bag. Pretty cool. The Phalanx exotic ghost shell. The Alton's Ambus legendary sparrow. The Pumping Iron legendary ghost hollow projection. Basically, if you have Amazon Prime, you get Prime Gaming, which is attached to your Amazon Prime account. If you link that to your Bungie.net account, you can get free drops in game. So there'll be a link in the show notes for the 12 and the link to the Prime Gaming as well. So you can go do stuff. And then there's wallpapers. Free wallpapers.
Lots of them.
That I've already downloaded for doing various different things.
Support report. So many things are broken.
Peroty's player support report. So, as Peroty is not here, he would tell you that Guardian Games has returned and will now run from May 2nd till May 23rd at the weekly reset.
Huzzah!
Yeah, I don't know why that's in the player support report because we already know it's here. Hotfix 7.0.5.2 was released earlier this week on Tuesday, May 2nd, and players can view the full list of fixes and updates that are now live in game, which we did go over last week. Upgraded event card. Players who purchase the upgraded event card should ensure that they have opened the Guardian Games event pack bundle located in the wrapped items or consumable inventory in order to claim the instant unlock items. Players who do not claim the bundle from the event card prior to the end of the Guardian Games will not receive their items. Again, should know these things, but if you didn't, we're telling you now. Known issues. Whilst we continue to investigate various known issues, here is a list of the latest issues that were reported to us in the #help forum. The node for normal supremacy matchmaking is missing its description. Some Guardian Games quests are only progressible with bronze medals or medals from the Recreational Guardian Games playlist.
Oh.
The Wish Ender does not penetrate extended phalanx or Hydra shields. Oh no. In the Lake of Shadows Nightfall, wiping in the final boss room will cause some enemies and champions in the previous room to respawn, blocking the platinum rewards, which we knew about last week. The Vex Caliber Catalyst Triumph is not completing. Knew about that last week. Some gilded titles are no longer gilded, and some associated triumphs have been marked as incomplete. That's a bad thing. Get that sorted, Bungie. The Strand Hunter Aspects Ensnaring Slam does not trigger some class ability mods. Who knew? Masterworking, then enhancing a weapon, will make it appear that a player will get plus 20 to the base stat, when in reality, players can only get plus 10 to the base stat. Stop being silly. You only get 10. Using 3 copies... No. Using 3 copies of the same resist armor mod provide no benefit over using 2 copies of the same mod.
Good to know.
That's a known issue though. Some players report that Radiant no longer stuns barrier champions. I think Respawn went over that last week.
Yeah. And same
And
thing
fire
with
sprites
the
no
void
longer.
bullets too. Yep.
Yeah. And fire sprites may no longer be generated from grenade kills.
Mm.
And then we have some videos and we have some art. And another week, another TWAB. And that's it from Hippie this week. But it's not enough for us. We still have some stuff to go through with you guys.
Oh no!
You say, oh no.
What do we have?
Well, we don't have a Respawn's report roundup this week.
No, we don't.
Because Respawn sounds like he's having a bad day.
I'm recovering right now. We're good. I had a bad day. I'm having a good day now.
No. But, as I said to you, I do have some videos for you to kind of check out. So, Ebontis has his easy platinum score for the Guardian games, if you want to have a look at that. He shows you solo, but you can kind of do it as a team if you do it. You've got a team that you can go in there with, or just try your best going in the matchmaking. But he shows you what to kind of do to get the 200k. Cool Guy has a video on the Traxipos.
There's a lot of those videos out right now, dude. I'm not sure what god roll I'm even looking for now.
I'm telling you, go with the Cool Guy video, the Traxipos video.
I saw his, but like
he's got a couple of good rolls, and I used one of in Crucible. It is doing fantastic. It's the gut shot straight and explosive payload one. Very nice. Because it activates the gut shot, does good body damage, and the explosive payload triggers that as well. So you're getting not double. You're getting extra damage on top of that gut shot. So that's a good one to look out for. Astrocross has his nasty. Does the title take the best SMG crown? As he says.
Like as far as range goes, but not TTK.
It's a good one. Astrocross has got a video going over the Forerunner, which is the exotic sidearm that you can get from the 30th anniversary expansion, and how good it is now in PvE. Not a PvP one, it's a PvE because it got a buff. Patagates Gaming this week did a fabulous interview. It's 50 minutes long, so it's definitely not Deacon approved. But he sits down and talks to Salter Greppo about PvE tips from the top 0.1% player. And he is a top 0.1% player because he's amazing at his raids. So if you want to go and listen to the Patagates and Salter Greppo have a good old chat, good old chinwag, go and check that one out.
Wasn't good enough to win this raid, though, was he?
No. Our good friend Froggy, 618-157725, has an out of bounds reverse in the Root of Nightmares. So he did this with Last Wish, I believe. Now we've got a reverse of the Root of Nightmares. So this will require you to have a boss checkpoint, but he shows you how you can go back through the raid and do all the different things. It's pretty cool. So yeah. Another one from Ebontis this week. All 7 of Excalibur Node Override Avalon secret chest locations. And the final one is from another friend of the podcast, Cheese Forever. Fast platinum and gold medals plus weapon XP farm with Neomuna cards. So that one's for you, Respawn. That one's specifically for you. So there you go. There's my picks of videos this week.
Thank you for joining us. Your Titans are Peroty and Nitedemon, despite the fact that he is not here today and possibly rage quit forever. Your Hunter is No One Respawns in RL. Your Lore Scribe used to be Not ARF. Our email is twotitansandahunter@hotmail.com. You can send us any feedback you'd like to there. We also have YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Two Titans and a Hunter. Find the show wherever you get your podcasts. Basically, just put us in Google, and you will find us somewhere, I promise you. Follow us on YouTube for each new episode, weekly update video, and live streams at twotitansandahunter.com. If you want to join the Otter Dance Troupe, threaten us with a good time, and throw more grenades, you can come join our Patreon at patreon.com/TTAH. If you're looking for a more casual encounter, Ko-Fi.com, KOFI.com/Two Titans and a Hunter. If you want the thrill of live action and some spicy language, head on over to twitch.tv/No One Respawns in real life, all spelled out. If you want to keep it family friendly like a proper British gentleman, head over to twitch.tv/Two Titans and a Hunter to watch Nitedemon. He's there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. UTC, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. US Eastern, and Respawn streams at twitch.tv/No One Respawns in real life, usually on Saturdays, sometimes on Thursdays, and then very randomly our Patreons. Here we go. You Can't Threaten Me with a Good Time is Zep Orbit. Our Outer Dance troop consists of the T-Rex King, Dedicated Wham 64, the Scarlet KM, BHS Nightcrawler. Thanks, guys, and welcome to the dance troop. Who came to throw more grenades? Well, that would be Carver 2782, Win Noble, Golden God 1562, basically an ACL, Zombie Pops, Renard Colon, probably just messed that up. And Mellow Mally. Hey, he's a new one. Congratulations. And the Deacon approves of Peepee Pipe, Lordmaster Chaos, Dimwee. By the way, for your name, he goes Dimwee. And the Drifters Driftwood, along with Hate Quest. That is our Patreon, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, if you want to come hang out, you want to come to the Patreon also comes with a free private channel on our Discord. And I don't know why I said free, because I don't know what to say after this.
Because you don't know words. Just say bye, Respawn.
Bye, Respawn!
Bye, Respawn. Bye, everyone.
Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast.